Good morning, folks. If you could send me a tweet or a post on X that you can hear me if the volume's okay. Just give me a 5x5, and then after I see a couple people post that, then I'll begin. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, so today I spent a little bit of time together with a topic that I titled Trading Nightmares for Dreamscapes. When I was a younger guy, I was 20 when I first started actually putting my mind to learning how to trade and taking risk and whatnot in the markets. Being prodded along as a 13 and 14-year-old, and at 16-year-old at the Sunday morning brunches that turns into grandma's lunches and dinners where the family would come together. I had an uncle, obviously, would keep prodding me, telling me all the time that the richest people in the world were traders of futures and options. And those seeds were planted way early in my life. And I didn't know at the time that would culminate and basically grow into, what you see today. So when I first started, I came up in a time where that was my low point. Like, that was my low point. I couldn't go any lower than that as a man, as a person, as a recent divorcee. And everything at that time was just darkness, gloom. It was very hard for me to be optimistic about anything. So I was living a night daily. There was no light. There was no, optimistic perspective to hold on to. It just wasn't there. I felt defeated. I felt lost, really. I just didn't have a direction at all. And recently, upon divorce, I met a young lady. Actually followed her home. Creepy, right? But we ended up getting together, and the few words that she gave one day when I told her, I opened up. And as men in the audience, this is very difficult for us to do. And women, if you're listening, hey, this is a life lesson for you as well. If a man ever opens himself up to you, he's laying his neck on your sword. Life lesson for you as well. If a man ever opens himself up to you, he's laying his neck on your sword. He's literally trusting you with his emotions. He's trusting you with his frailty. He's trusting you with how you respond would destroy him, basically. And he sees value in you to the degree that he's willing to give this to you. And from a man's perspective, and every man in the audience right now, if you agree, just say, I agree, or that's on point. You're trusting this person to a degree that's way beyond fidelity, way beyond just, I want her to feel like I cherish her. You're trusting this person entirely with your being, where you're giving her this gift that you can't give to anyone else. This is only entitled to them. And I shared that with her. I was honest with her. I told her that I was brokenhearted. I couldn't imagine how this woman who I was married to, and I get some of you are probably thinking, what's this got to do with trading? It has everything to do with trading. Everything to do with trading. I was busted, torn up. And what I saw in this young lady, I wanted that more, but I needed to break completely away from the things that were shackling me. I needed to get away from all of that torment that I put myself through. I needed to somehow restore that old relationship that was absolutely not for me. It was toxic, and I tried to be the white knight in a scenario that there was no saving that situation. But God saw fit to put this young lady in my life, and I told her that I was very hard pressed to find any optimistic thing outside of her, and that I don't know what direction I'm going to go. And this is what I'm trying to do right now, which was learning how to invest and trade. And I expected deep down inside that she wouldn't be all that interested or really care that much, but I felt that I had to give that to her. And every single day, when I wake up and I look at those markets and I look at those charts, before I talk to anybody, either online, on Telegram, anyone, I hear Shannon's voice. She said to me when I told her what I wanted to do, she said to me, and it didn't sound canned. Like I believe she meant it entirely and sincere. She said, Michael, I've only known you for a short period of time, but you seem very focused. You seem very passionate about this. And if anything you put yourself in the direction of going after, I think this is going to be it for you. I can see you doing this. And you know what she did? She brought it up at dinner with her mother and father, with me sitting there. And man, I can't tell you, I can't tell you the level of just empowerment. Like I was like, well, this is it now. All those times my uncle spoke to me and said, you know, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. It didn't mean anything to me. I had started the journey, but not because of him. No disrespect to my Uncle Stan. But it just felt like, well, what was the option? Either I'm going to still work and do these 13-hour days and make no money, or make a change. And my degree wasn't getting me anywhere. No doors were opening up for systems analyst, despite my GPA and despite my affinity for trading, and I'm not trading, but for coding and being involved in that industry. I did it from sixth grade on, self-taught most part, and that's why it was easy for me to go through the actual academics of it. But when her father, Mr. Huff, who's gone on to be with the Lord, he looked at her and smiled, and he turned to me and he said, I've never heard her talk about anyone like that before. And I looked at her mother, and I was like, my face was burning. I was blushing like crazy, and the water was beaded up on my eyelid. And I was like, don't you dare let it drop in front of them. Don't you? But I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it because at that moment, these people weren't my family. But I fell in love with them at that moment. I fell in love with that element of family. I've never had that before. I've never experienced that before. And they sowed in me a seed of optimism that I carry every single day. Every single day. Now, obviously, Mr. Huffy's moved on. He can't see me in the natural. I'm sure he probably can see me now. And Miss Sharon, Shannon's mother, she's never had the opportunity to see where I'm at today. And Shannon, unless she's aware of me online, which out of respect for her family, her marriage and whatnot, I don't ever do anything to trifle in anyone else's relationship. But we eventually, a year and a half later separated. And no fault of anyone's. I just made a poor choice at the time. being insecure because of a previous relationship. I felt like it was too good, and if I didn't get out of it, at least I protected myself from her hurting me. And I don't believe she ever would have done it. And if I would have never met my present wife, I would like to think that I had a chance to get back with her. That's not me saying that I love her more than my wife. I'm just saying if you were to ask me and we were friends and we're talking and being honest, and that's what I'm doing here, I'm being honest with you. That young lady made a lasting impression on me because of her words of encouragement. And I can tell you to this day, there has never been another female, even my wife, that has ever said those types of deep reaching, lifting, empowerment. Like it was like rocket fuel. It was like, I cannot fail now. Like I can't fail now. Like I know this is mine now. I know it's mine because she could have said, well, I'll believe it when I see it, because that's what my wife has always said in the beginning of our relationship. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. She came from a family that was disjointed, dysfunctional, and Shannon didn't. How you raise your children has a lasting impression on how they're going to be as adults. And it's a crazy paradigm when you look at the contrast of people that were raised like I was. I grew up in a broken home, dysfunctional, and it was very hard for me to see the pathway in front of me. I just know I wanted to get out of that. I didn't want to stay in that type of dysfunctional family. And trading seemed like that was the avenue, but I was afraid. I was afraid of doing it. And I needed to be encouraged because I felt like, if I'm telling myself every day at that time that no one's going to believe I'm going to be able to do this, if I'm saying that, and you probably have done this yourself, think about it. Maybe that's where you're at right now. You're thinking, nobody believes in me. Nobody believes I'm going to do this or be successful. And you know what? When you say that to yourself, just like when I said it to myself, that's a true statement. You weren't expecting me to say that, were you? It's actually a true statement. Because if you're saying nobody believes I'm going to do it, you're stating emphatically that you don't believe it either. Because nobody includes you. Think about it. Your subconscious is speaking, and your subconscious is always, always the truth. That's the part that you guard all the time. That's the part, young man, when you try to meet that young lady and have special time with her. I'm not talking between the sheets. When you're trying to impress her and woo her and think, wow, this guy's a really nice guy. I want to be with him. You put on your best clothes, your best cologne. You get your hair done up nice. You make the greatest impression. And you don't want to do anything rude. You don't want to be in any way off-putting to her. Well, you gotta guard all these things, these insecurities that you have. And when you speak those things like, nobody believes I'm going to do this, you need to stop that. Because I held on to that for a long time. I was living nighttime every single day. And you know what happens at nighttime. You dream, you have nightmares, and you have good dreams. And if you're like me, who studied it a lot when I was younger, you could have a lucid dream. A lucid dream is where you actually wake up in your dream and you realize that you're not awake in the physical, and you can do things in your dream that's neat. And one of my favorite things is flying. I'm afraid of heights, but in my dreams, I can fly. And there's lots of really good books on lucid dreaming if you want to look at it. I'm not going to try to teach lucid dreaming because I'm not capable of doing it. It's not something you can say, here it is, here's an optimal trade entry, here's a fair value gap. It's not like that. But it's something I journaled for a long time. And all the things that I used to journal prior to that moment when Shannon said what she said, and that evening, that day, That day sewed it in the annals of the future that I was going to be who I am today. Now, one could say, well, you didn't have a good relationship, you broke up. Yeah, I made a bad choice. I got too emotional about something, insecurities, and we broke up amicably. Like it was not a hateful thing. So how could you say that was a good thing? Well, I believe God placed her in my life at that time to encourage me because I needed it. Much like many of you probably turn to me when I do these motivational elements, where I try to ground you, shake you by your lapels, and remind you that this is normal stuff, folks. I'm not exempt to it. I'm not ashamed to say I went through these types of things either. I'm actually very thankful because recognizing those nightmares that I held on to, I chose. I chose to keep putting on that garment of sorrow, that garment of fear. What if I try really, really hard and I fail? That's what I was afraid of before I even told her. Knowing that, I still laid it in her hands and she could have destroyed me. She could have laughed in my face and said, what, what a crazy idea. You're going to be working like everybody else. And I was expecting that to happen because that's exactly what my family said. That's exactly what my friends said. And we like to think that, our family members, if I tell them what I'm going to do, they're going to encourage me like, yeah, heck yeah, that's the thing. That's it. That's the thing. I can see you doing it. Man, if you do well, could you help me too? That's what you want to hear, isn't it? That's exactly what you want to hear. But you don't ever hear that, do you? You're going to do what? You're going to do what? Hey, Phyllis, listen to this. Come over here. Tell her what you just said. You're going to do what? You're going to push some buttons and money's going to end up in your bank account. What did you just say to me? Come on. Come on. That's what happens, isn't it? And if you have not shared what you want to do yet with your family members, don't be surprised. That's what they do to you. It's normal. That's normal. It doesn't feel normal when it happens. It feels personal. It feels like they're kicking dirt in your face. That's exactly what it felt like for me. At a time when I was already beaten up, tore up from the floor up, no direction in life. Feel like I wasted all that time academically and couldn't even land an interview. Resumes going out every single day, not one phone call ever. Now you can say, well, you're a failure. That's a testimony right there. That's a failure right there. You know what I see? I see a door being kept closed because I was never meant to go through it. Hello. That'll preach right there. What I spent so much time from sixth grade on dreaming of getting a good job, getting my name on a little plate on my desk, maybe having some people underneath me I'm in charge of. That's not me. That was never supposed to be me. As much as I thought it was, just like I thought my first wife was, that was my queen. That was my one time and I'm one and done. Lost my virginity to her and I married her. Just like that. That's the kind of person I am. I didn't want to be a player. I didn't want to run around and see how many times I can get a dip. And we separated, and it put me in a state where, well, I guess I'm just like everybody else. And then I womanized, and I ran around and I did things with married women. And I have an oldest son as a byproduct of that. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You have all kinds of problems when you do things like that. But that young lady's words of encouragement, I carry them today. And when I talk to you, you think I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to my kids. That's why it feels genuine. That's why it feels like you know me. That's why it feels good when I tell you, I believe in you. I think you're going to do it because I believe in my children. I believe that they're going to do this. And all of you know me online. You never shared a meal with me. You never met me at a pub, at a cafe, in passing, but you feel like you know me. You feel like we've been friends for a long, long time. Because when I talk to you sincerely. It's not scripted. I don't even know what I'm going to say next. It just comes out. I let it all flow out evenly. And it's all based on real things I experienced and adversities. And if I can go through it and come out of it, and I'm not special, folks. I know some of you think I am, like to think I should be lifted up on a hero pedestal. I should never be lifted up on a hero pedestal. I have so many frailties, so many insecurities. I could never do what I'm doing right now if you're all standing in front of me. I'm introverted. You would never imagine the same person that talks to you like this. If we were in person, it wouldn't be like that. Why? Because it's deep rooted in my childhood. I was a quiet kid. So quiet, I was afraid to talk out loud because the things I was thinking, I thought I'd be in trouble. You can fill in the blanks on that. So where am I going with this? Well, how's this applicable to you? Well, when I was young, I had a lot of anxiety, debilitating anxiety, fear of performance in life, getting a job. What if I don't make as much money as I want to? What if I don't get the job I want? What if I don't go where I want to go and work for the company I want to work for? And I would wake up with night terrors. You ever had one of them before? You just wake up and you're gasping for air. Now, I was fit as a fiddle back then. So I had no apnea. I had no nothing that would be classified as, oh, this sounds like sleep apnea. No, I didn't have any of that. I had crippling anxiety because my mind is supercharged. If you give me an idea and ask me to make this happen, or I have an idea that comes to me now, I can run with that and turn it into a success story. Back then, everything was a nightmare unfolding. Everything was an impossibility. And I made sure of it because I constantly dwelled on this is probably going to end poorly. I shouldn't even bother doing this. Many times I would have ideas I would write down in my journal. This is what I think I should be trying to do today. And then what would I do? Run the other direction all day long. Never work towards it. Never try to do anything working towards that idea becoming fruitful or coming to pass. That's not procrastination. That's running away from it. There's a difference. See, procrastination is like when I tell you to back test. When I tell you, you're not going to learn the things I'm teaching you unless you literally go into your charts and back test them. It doesn't mean go look at what has happened today and say, yeah, well, that was it. No, you got to dig through weeks and months of old news. So if you sit around and procrastinate like that, you're never going to get good at this. What I was doing as a young man was literally running from it. I wasn't just stationary saying, yeah, I'll get around to it eventually. No, I was terrified because I couldn't handle another failure. I couldn't accept another defeat. I was at my lowest point, and I guarded that very next thing all the time, expecting to walk through a door and see something like a murder scene. Well, I knew it was going to happen eventually. That was my mentality then. diametrically opposed to what it is today. Instead of thinking back then, everything's going to be the worst case scenario. Everything is always bad luck. And that's why I don't believe in luck. That's why I always snub my nose at luck. Okay, because in trading, there is no luck. It's just decisions, and that decision was correct or was incorrect. It doesn't mean that your model is broken or doesn't work if it is incorrectly done. This means that you as the operator, you made an error. Correct it. Don't do it again. Don't repeat it. It's a binary response. If this happens, then it's this. And every time I make a losing decision, it's mine. I own it. Now, back then, if something bad happened to me, well, this is the person that probably caused this to happen to me. See, when you live a self-defeating lifestyle and you live in fear and toxic what if thinking, what if I don't succeed? What if I try really, really hard? What if I try so hard and I pour so much time and effort into this? Maybe even some money, even then. What happens if I fail? How embarrassing would that be? How demoralizing would it be if I work so hard and I fail? That's exactly what I fed myself every single day. Is it no surprise why I didn't have any ambition to pursue any of the ideas that would come to me? Of course not. It would come to nobody's surprise. But see, that's the benefit of hindsight, looking back at it now. But when you're in the thick of it, when you're living it, you can't see it any other way. And you might be there right now. You might have tried trading. And if you're really, really honest, and I'm asking you to be honest, not with me, you don't need to share it publicly as a response to me, but be honest with yourself. Did you rush it? Did you put a little bit too much on your plate? More than you can handle by trading with real money before you should have? Did you try to pass combines before you even knew who you were? The things that make you tick, the things that hold you back, but you don't think it's that. Did you rush it? Did you jump in and plunge before you really knew what you were doing? Because I think if you were honest, you would admit that that's exactly what you did. You see, there's lots of people out there that are making money. Believe me, they have no problem showing it to you. There's nothing wrong with that. In many ways, they're doing what I did as a 20-year-old. You had to broadcast it because I couldn't believe it either. I couldn't believe it. I had to show everybody. Not just because I wanted to twist that knife and rub salt in the wound for everybody that said I would never be able to do it, but I physically could not believe it. Remember, I'm an avid lucid dreamer. I didn't know half the time if I was conscious or if I was in a lucid dream doing what I thought I should be doing. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Sounds like wild. But that's a dreamscape. I moved from nightmare to dreamscape. I was living my dreams. I was not enduring my nightmares. And I didn't recognize that right away. Because I was doing things after the words of a young lady that I was falling head over heels in love with. And her family literally just gave me the invitation to, hey, listen, don't even bother asking me, son. Give her the ring and welcome to the family. That's how I interpreted that. And true to form, once I started making success and I shared with her, look, this is what I did. I made $11,000 today. Wow. Now today, today's terms of trading, $11,000 is nothing, right? I mean, nobody cares about $11,000. What are you going to do with $11,000? You can't even buy a small economy car anymore. But back in 1993, walking out of the movie theater, holding her hand, We just walked out and saw the movie The Crow, Brandon Lee. Dark movie. I liked it. It was awesome. She didn't care for the movie too much. And I said, this is the greatest day of my life right now. Up to this moment, this is the greatest day. I just got to share time with you, watched Brandon Lee just go crazy in a movie he died in. It was epic. It was awesome. The soundtrack was awesome. And I made $11,000. And she was like, what? No way. Are you crazy that you made that just today? I was like, well, it took 3 days to get to it, but I did. Yeah, here it is. I told you. Now, here it is, gentlemen. This is exactly what we're listening for. When you're talking to your ladies, when you're talking to your girlfriends, your wife, your spouse, your significant other, ladies, listen, because this is what we're listening for. This is how you wrap us around your finger. You want a man to stick with you and not run around on you? You want a man that's going to say, you know what, I don't need to get a dip anywhere else. I got everything I need right here. Because listen, ladies, you might think you got something special between your legs. Everybody's got that same thing down there. And men, you got the same thing too. It's how you walk with it. It's what you do when you're not using it. And men, give me an amen if it ain't like this. This young lady literally confirmed what she said the first time. I believe you're going to do it. I believe you're going to do it. If there's any person out there that's going to do it, it's you. I haven't known you that long, but I can tell you are very passionate about this. She knew I was studying all the time. All the time. What is that? What's that radio you're holding? I said, it's not a radio, it's a contract. It tells me what the price of soybeans and corn and live cattle, high grade copper, all that stuff. It tells me what the prices are right now. And she's like, you know what that means? It's like, well, I'm learning. Yep, that same guy you hear now talks like he knows everything, right? I was vulnerable in her hands, and in her presence, I was vulnerable. And she said, I told you you would be able to do this. Man, I don't care. I could have made $1 million on that trade. Those words meant way more. Way more. I could have ran through a fucking wall. I was like Superman. Ladies, you give your man that, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. And that fueled me. I want to do another one of them. And I don't want to make a mistake. So what was she doing? She was being my accountability agent, the person that held me accountable. Because she would ask all the time, how much did you risk doing that? How much did you spend to do that? See, in her mind, that's the only thing she understood. It cost you something. What was the cost? And I realized that if I take wild, reckless risks, and I'm trying to start a family with this woman, I'm going to give her my name, because I eventually proposed to her. She said yes. Her parents were ecstatic. It was great. It was great. I took her to Harbor Courts Hotel, and there was 2 restaurants in there, and they were both 5-star restaurants. Took a limousine ride down there and proposed to her. And I was scared to death, man. I was scared to death. Not because of what she was going to say, because she already told me she was going to say yes, because I couldn't wait. I told her to give her my aunt's house, who I was living with at the time. I said, listen, I want to move out, and I want you to be my wife. And she's like, what? I said, don't worry. I've already asked your dad. He said it's good. She's like, what? Oh. I said, yeah, it's got it all planned out. We're going to go to Ruth Chris. I rented a limousine. She's, why'd you do this then? And she started laughing at me. I said, because I can't wait. I can't wait. I want you to know how much I want to be with you, how much you fulfill me, how much encouragement you provide to me. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that what you want in a significant other? My life, every day, was writing love letters and love notes and hiding it in things that she would find it underneath a couple layers of socks, in between her books because she was going to Village Julie for business management. And every Friday, I alternated 12 roses being delivered to her house so her parents saw it every other Friday, and her coworkers saw it every other Friday. I swooned and just did everything. I was Mr. Romantic. Why? Because this woman gave me everything. As a man who needed encouragement, she gave me lightning in a bottle. And I wanted to impress her. I wanted her to feel like she could trust me, and it kept me from taking reckless, crazy risks. Think about that. You want to succeed in life? You want to succeed in trading? Your home life's got to be right. You can't be of two minds. And if you're out there thinking, well, I'm with her for right now, she's my right now thing. She's my right now girl. My side piece. I keep it from her view. If you're living like that, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to fucking fail in trading. You're going to fail. Because what you're doing is all for you. Just you. You have no purpose, no measurement, no guidelines, no boundaries, like a cowboy, like a drunken cowboy. And you can't sustain that kind of stuff. Sure, you might get a lick here and there, catch a little bit of this and catch a little bit of that and look real good. But eventually what happens, you're going to see something else that catches your eye. And you're going to step outside that relationship that you have with that right now girl and your side piece to chase something else. Because you have no morals, you have no character, and you have no discipline. And you're not happy. So you're with that person right now, occupying a space that you're really reserving for someone that you probably will never meet. Because you keep making all poor decisions. You're placing yourself in bars on the weekend, wasting your friggin' money, smoking weed, drinking too much, doing stuff you shouldn't do, instead of focusing on where are you going to be in 10 years? Where are you going to be in 5? Are you going to be able to support yourself? How about a family? You seen how things are expensive right now? Jobs ain't doing it anymore, folks. You got to find ways to make money. And there's no better way than what we do in trading. You can write your own check, but you can't do it if your head's not right. So this is what I mean when I say, you gotta fix a lot of things, and you discover a lot of things. Many times I've had emails from men saying, "Listen, I've been trying to do this, and I'm failing, and I'm not being able to find consistency, and I lose, and I do stupid things." And the first question I ask them all the time is, "How's your home life?" Well, I'm with somebody that doesn't believe in me, and I'm trying to impress them and try to. Right, there you go. There's your problem. That's why I was messing up. I changed my direction in trying to impress someone that didn't want to be with me, that never, ever, ever gave me those words of encouragement, cheated on me. And then I find someone new who did everything opposite. And I wasn't trying to impress her with, I'm smart. I wasn't trying to impress her with, I made X amount of money, but risking too much. What kind of message would that be? Because she's asking for the analytics. How much did you risk to make that $11,000? $1,200. Wow, that's good. Wow, that is really good. What is she processing in her mind? Remember, she's going to school, Bill Julie. She's in her third year of business management. She's thinking, this guy's a keeper. He's not a gambler. He's not recklessly plunging ahead. So if I got with him, he's not going to lose the mortgage, lose the house, lose everything. He's not going to put our nest egg, if we're putting it, aside for the future. He's not going to put us in the poorhouse. I recognize that. I'm thankful that I was able to be astute enough at the time to recognize that. Because if I would have been the cowboy I was trying to get my ex back, I think that I probably would have sowed some discouragement. And because I was transparent with her, and she was sincere. She never poured it on thick. She never said over the top, embellishments of, oh, well, you're just amazing. She just, out of the blue, we would be sitting there and she'd think to herself, and she, you know what? I was thinking about this today. Like, you literally look at those things on that paper, because back then it wasn't like we have it right on our phone. We could just push a button. I had to physically draw the charts, open, high, low, and close. And I was doing it with like 18 markets. Tedious, very stupid. Should have just picked one. And my real success came when I came to just one and two markets, bonds and S&P. But she would say to me, like we would be in the mall, and she would turn to me and she starts smiling. She says, I think it's crazy that you do what you do and you can make money doing that. Like, that's wild. She never asked for anything. She never asked for anything. The girlfriend got an $11,000 engagement ring in 1993. Do the math on that. Do the inflationary markup on that today. That was the biggest one I could get at Nusinoff at the time. Charles Nusinoff. And why did I go there? Because Sharon, her mother, said, listen, we already accept you, but at least check the display down there. I'm like, okay, well, I got to make sure mommy looks, like she's got it together. I had to give back the Lippmann's marquee diamond ring that I got her. That was the one she said yes to. But when we were in Harbor Courts Hotel at the restaurant, and I was kneeling down in my attempt to hide my shaking, trembling knee because everybody was staring at me. So you hear me in the way I talk. I'm not that way in person. I'm quiet. I'm reserved. I'm always sitting in the room with my back in the corner and I'm observing everyone else. I don't walk in the room and try to command and own the room. But you would expect that the way I talk to you in these presentations or in my videos. Why? I have authority in that area, that arena. I have authority there. But if you meet me, you're not on the other side of my trade. You're meeting me as the person, Michael. I'm very reserved. But when I was on my knee proposing to her, I was scared to death because I saw everyone else looking at me. And I was thinking to myself, am I lucid dreaming right now? Or is this real? Because if it's not real, I don't want to wake up. That's how good it was. And I was afraid that they could see inside me and see all the frailties of me being afraid that I would lose this at any moment. At any moment, this would all fade away. Could they see that in me? Could they peer into my soul and see underlying fear of me not having this anymore. I didn't want to lose it. Making money, secondary. Securing a life partner that believed in me, that literally told her friends when I met them, this is my boyfriend, and then eventually became, this is my fiance. Oh yeah, how you doing? So what do you do? She finishes it for him immediately. He scribbles on charts and money jumps into his bank account. And her girlfriend Ginger was like, what? I was like, well, it's a little bit more involved than that, but that's a nice way of being an icebreaker. And then it was a very easy way for me to open up because otherwise I would not talk. And she knew that about me. What did she do, man? She tapped into my strength. She didn't put me on a spot and embarrass me. Ladies, that's a lesson for you. And it allowed me to come out of my shell. And so much so that I was out on the dance floor at Partners, which is a bar that no longer exists in Maryland. That's how far she took me. And I didn't drink, okay, but Ginger, her girlfriend, and Shannon were both grinding on my thighs, and all the other people in the room were all just dancing around too. And I'm thinking to myself, how did I end up here? Like, this is crazy. I never went back again. I told her, I said, listen, you asked me to do that with you. I went, you can clearly see that's not my element. But Ginger and her boyfriend and her friends invited us out. So I wasn't permitted to sit on the bar stool and drink Coca-Cola only. I had to get up and stand on the dance floor and let the viewers at least see me attempt to be a dance pole, apparently, because that's about the equivalent of what I was doing. Fun times, but uncomfortable too. Now, insecurities creep in later. I'm making big money, really big money. And I have a particular family member who I had a lot of trust in. And they sowed an idea in my head that started taking over. And I can look back now and see it's the enemy, but I didn't recognize it then. What happens if she's just with you for your money? And while she never asked for anything, she never had to. I would always ask her mother, is there anything that she wants right now? And I would leave it on her bed. I would get her keys and put it in her trunk and then tell her, hey, look, can you check your trunk? I think I left my hat. And she'd find it. I would do stuff like that all the time. But I knew enough to know that she was sincere about the encouragement she gave me. But this family member made me start thinking, am I really pouring on too thick, buying her affection? When she had already given it to me beforehand, I lost sight of that. What was I doing? I was worrying about the money. Just like that happens in your trading. When you worry about the money, you lose. You make stupid decisions. And I made a dumb decision. I made a very, very dumb decision then. You gotta be careful how I say these things because it makes it sound like I'm regretting being married to my wife. I'm not regretting at all being married to my wife. But I can tap into my younger years and tell you and relive them. If I hand you my diary, it would be just like I'm saying it right now. It reads like a novel. I have always looked back and thought to myself, how would my life be if I wouldn't have listened to someone give me the worst idea to focus on, worrying about an outcome that never probably would have ever happened? The enemy introduced what if thinking again on the toxic level. See, I didn't look at Shannon every day and think, what if this doesn't go well? What if this doesn't, until this person, my family member, said, look at all the money you're making right now. I can see it now as jealousy and envy, and they wanted to disrupt a storybook ending to a very, very rotten beginning of a life. And that's what family does. I hate to admit it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I know, some of you will say, no, not my family. Listen, if you look around, there's one in your family. There's one that everybody wishes didn't come to the cookout. There's always one of them that says, well, he's got some issues. She's got some issues. And unfortunately, as a young man, that's the one that held a whole lot of influence over me as a young man. And then because that idea was placed in my head, what happened? I started looking for signs that, is she a gold digger? Is she a gold digger? No, she never was. But I was looking for it. And if you look for it hard enough, you'll find it. And I never called her outside of her name. I was never rude. But I just told her, I said, I don't think this is going to work out anymore. And she was upset. She cried like crazy. Like, I didn't do anything. I know you didn't. You didn't do anything. But I can't do this anymore. And you know what she did, guys? Listen to this. She gave me my ring back. Ladies, you're laughing right now, aren't you? Hey, no way, I would have gave it back. That's mine. That's mine. And I didn't ask for it. And in fact, I told her, I said, I didn't ask for the ring. And I gave it back to her. And she goes, it's mine if you give it back to me with your name. And if I don't have your name, I don't deserve the ring. I'm going to tell you right now, my wife today would have never done that. And that's not a knock against her. But I'm just telling you the stark contrast. And that was my last sign I was making a mistake, and I still didn't see it because I was worried about the money. I latched on to bad experiences. My previous wife left me, and I didn't have anything. Just a promise that I'm going through school, and when I get out, we're going to do good. Now, I wasn't trading then. Wasn't even trying to trade. But I was trying to have her believe in me, and she didn't. And here's this young lady who I followed home, drove up and down 2 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to find where her car was, and then left a note with her brother for her to call me. And we got together like that. That's crazy town, ain't it? And she says, if you give me your last name, then I deserve the ring. But because I'm not getting your name, I don't deserve the ring. Now, that was the beginning of just total craziness. I was back in that middle of the sea without a rudder, no sail, and regretting. And she got with someone else, so I couldn't go back to her. And here I am, looking at these charts, figuring out what am I going to do now. And I lost my support structure. I lost my accountability agent, the person that kept me in line. And I started pursuing stupid stuff. Doing this and doing that, recklessly doing this, and listening to some goober on the internet. Wasting money. Even tried to do Larry Williams, eventually trying to take his S&P signals on his 900 number. I never made money doing it. I couldn't afford the stop loss he was using. I thought I could. I was like, well, I won't risk that much. He's good. He's good at trading. His stop loss ain't going to get hit. So I would do like 1/4 of what he's risking, and I'd get stopped out or scared out of it and get out of the trade. So I never made money. I was doing all the wrong things. And I went back to nightmare, nighttime, anxiety, and pushing the edge too hard and losing sight of why I was even doing it. Until I tapped into what was doing the best in terms of keeping me on point. Positive self-talk. I would tell myself Think about what she said to you and look how the effect it had over you. And I learned to do that practice of self-talk. I would tell myself, there's no emergency. See, anxiety comes when you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations or wants on their schedule, on their timing. Folks, you're never going to be comfortable in that situation. You're never going to be satisfied because you're trying to live your life to please other people instead of finding someone that's in love with you as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to outperform what they fell in love with. And I found myself trying to do that with Shannon. I wanted to top everything, always had it, always better, always better, always better. And her girlfriend, Ginger's boyfriend, hated me. He wanted to beat me up. Now, to be honest with you, I would spin kicked his fucking ass and knocked his ass out then. But he wanted to fight me because his girlfriend was telling him all the time, why don't you do that? And now it's like, oh shit, here it is. I'm in deep water. So I became a toxic thing around them when I wasn't doing anything except for trying to do what I felt I needed to do, which is outdo what I ever did before to impress and make Shannon realize how much I love her and how much I'm pouring into her. If I was with my first wife and I had that kind of money coming in, I would have been taken advantage of like crazy. It would have been like holding on to a losing trade and giving it more money. All right, well, I'm down $10,000. Let's just buy 5 more contracts. Let's just average into it. So I thought about what she gave me, and I hold on to it every day today. I think about those words. I hear her voice exactly as she said it. And it makes me feel good every time. Every time I think of it, it makes me feel good. It encourages me. It reminds me that, you know what? I believe that was the Lord just tapping me and saying, listen, I've been trying to tell you your entire teenage life, this is where you're supposed to be at. So I had to use her to get your attention. So he got my attention, obviously. I didn't handle it well, mismanaged some of it, but I changed my perspective to stop dwelling on the nightmarish aspects of life and focusing on the dreamscapes. Being highly organized, very, very, very detail oriented, I started changing the way I did my journals. See, in my life journal, I would close my day and be like, man, I had such a wonderful day with Shannon. I had a wonderful day doing this, 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 and Shannon was always in the middle of it. Contrast that with my trading journal. It was like, man, I effed this up. I don't know why this isn't working. Why the F am I doing this all the time, losing money on this type of setup? Why did I chase that? Why did I go in there doing too many contracts? I should have never listened to that article in Commodity Magazine. What was I doing? Constantly beating myself up. So what's my subconscious going to do? Well, I only find happiness in Shannon. And I'm not happy trading. I'm miserable in trading. So what happens? When I put a trade on, am I going to feel good and empowered? No. I don't have Shannon anymore. My support structure is gone. So I had to replace her words of encouragement and accountability aspect with my trading journal. And everything was a dreamscape in that. Sure, I probably lost a trade. Probably went in, tried it again, still lost on that one. But I would go in and say, you know what? I'm thankful that I had this opportunity to learn 2 lessons today that cost me money. So there's value behind it now. I had to pay a price for this information. Now you can bitch and kick and scream and say, I don't want to lose. I want to find a model that never loses. Let me tell you a secret, okay? If you're writing things down, write this down. Every trading approach or model is perfect. It's perfect. It's flawless. It doesn't have any losing transactions. Bet you never realized that, have you? Every system, every application, every indicator, every buy and sell indication you would get as a trader, no matter what you use, it's flawless until you go in and F it up. You can flip a quarter. Heads you buy, tails you short. Or simplify it like this. When you're bullish, if it comes up heads, you'll take action and engage. If it comes up tails, don't take the trade. Only risk 0.25%. Over a year, you're gonna make money. Don't believe me? Test it. Test it. Because you're removing the emotions. You're removing the outward stimuli that's causing you to take a trade with more contracts as you should. We mess it up because we're holding on to toxic baggage. The last 5 trades, man. You don't know, ICT. You weren't there, man. I'm at the verge of blowing my combine or losing my funded account. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I've never traded those sim prop firm company accounts, but I've been there. I've been there where I'm at the point where the account's going to be blown. I'll have to add more money. I've been there. But you have to sweet talk yourself. Remember, you got to be honest, like I was with her. And she reciprocated sincerely and encouraged me. That's exactly what you do in your trading journal. You have to love yourself. You have to care about yourself enough not to talk down to yourself. Do not punch down on your developing future self. If you do that, you're going to stagnate and stunt your growth, and you're going to make it miserable as you go through it. You want to make it longer than it has to be? Talk toxic in your journal. Share your journal with someone else, and you're going to set yourself up for ruin. You got to be honest. Be able to pour yourself out in these journals. Sweet talk yourself. Start looking through the lens of a dreamscape where there's nothing negative. You ever notice in a dream, a good dream, there's no villains? Think about that. There's no, well, something bad could have happened here. That stuff doesn't happen, does it? What is your brain telling you? It's removed all of the toxicity of the everyday living. And it's focusing on nurturing you. That's what that good dream is doing. It's therapy for yourself because you're going through something. And then you have nightmares. When you have nightmares, when things are going good. Why? Because deep down inside, you're afraid shit's about to go tits up. That's how the brain works. I've never had a bad dream, ever, 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 because I had a bad day. They always happen when I had a good day and I went to sleep and my brain was readying myself for, okay, eventually this is what's about to happen to you. You're tied up on the railroad track and the guy's laughing, grinning over top of you, and he's got his boot on your neck laughing. He's going to jump out of the way before the train gets here and he's going to run you over. Really far extreme, obviously, but it's just to make light of not something funny. But we wrestle with that. And because I have a very, very aggressive mind, it's a hyperactive brain, I easily lose attention on something because my mind's going 1,000 miles an hour, constantly. I'm always dealing with a thought or some concern jumping in ahead of the front of the line. And I feel like unless I'm highly organized, I spend my time anxiously worrying about not managing the ideas that jump in front of me. That's what a hyperactive, creative mind does. But see, today they'll call that attention deficit. You're retarded. You're something wrong with you. You're not. In my earlier years in school, I sucked at my grades because this was not, I knew enough that I'm not going to do this stuff when I get out. Like, this is all dumb. Challenge me with something. And when I started learning computer programming, suddenly, math and science, I excelled in. English, not so much. Social studies, not so much. But math and science, bam! I'm staying over after class. Math teacher looked at me like, don't you do anything outside of school, like baseball? And I said, yeah, I did. I dropped that. I want to learn this. I was learning basic language. Why? Because it interested me. So if you were going through school and you felt like, well, I didn't do good in school, it's not because you're a loser. It's not because you're stupid or you're retarded or you have some learning disability. You have a supercharged brain. God blessed you with a brain that's absolutely phenomenal. He gave you something that he knows if you listen and obey what he's laying in front of you as opportunities to use it, you're going to do things way beyond the average person. Way beyond it. But this world's lying to you, saying, yeah, you got a learning disability. Let me put you on some medication. Because they want to make you stupid with the medication. They want to dumb you down. That's what they do. Everybody, look, let me tell you something. My youngest son, we had him assessed, and he said, well, he has a learning disability. And I said, he ain't getting no medicine. And I'll homeschool him, thank you. This boy has the most beautiful creativity and imagination. You give him anything, paper, wood, plastic, metal, he can put things together and shape things and sculpture things. And like he made a puppet, a hand puppet, okay, when he was 5 years old. And my wife and I were like, what in the world? And I'm not talking about like a sock with some buttons taped on it. Like he went through the whole process of making it, and there was no website that taught him. He just sat down in his brain and said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this, cut up an old T-shirt here, use this stick over here from a pennant flag to use to make one of the arms move around. And he, on his own, he did that. Retarded, stupid, held back, unequipped brains don't do that. Okay? But that's what the world will tell you. They're constantly beating you down. They're constantly beating you down. And then here you are, just like I did. I'm taking that mentality and placing it right in my journal. Why are you wasting your time talking down to yourself? You need to stop that stuff. You need to cut it out. Because the only thing you're doing is reinforcing the anxiety that you feel. And that anxiety will manifest itself in performance anxiety. You can learn every possible scenario of the trade with my material or anyone else's, and theoretically know exactly how to do it. But because you're holding on to things that are toxic, but you won't admit it. You won't say, yeah, I'm doing that. Why? Because you're in love with the normalcy of it. See, it's normal to you to hold on to that toxicity. That's why abusive relationships last as long as they do. Because they lie to themselves. You know what? I probably don't deserve anything better than this anyway. At least I'm getting fed. At least I have a roof over my head. It could be worse. I could be homeless. And we do that same thing. We rationalize the poor excuse of studying, the poor excuse of back testing, forward testing, tape reading, before we actually put real risk behind the trade. And then we make a mistake, we kick ourselves in the teeth. And if that ain't bad enough, you solidify it and you talk down and you vilify yourself in that journal and you think that you're doing something constructive. You are. You're constructively tearing down any future chance of you succeeding doing this. And if that hurts, good. Let it sting, because you have to know that what you're doing, if you're doing that, it's wrong. It's wrong. You're holding yourself back. You're stunting your growth, and you're filling your mind with, instead of creativity, instead of saying, well, this is what I've been doing. In the last 6 trades, it's been a losing trade, so I know this stuff doesn't work. There has to be some kind of angle. ICT's got to be some kind of a fraud. He's paying these people to put out there like they're making money. It's all fake. It's all fraud. You start thinking about this silly shit and you think it's real, because you have to make an accountability outside yourself. It's something outside of you instead of it's you. You can't. This is one of the biggest things I learned from Larry Williams. See, what I'm talking to you like now, That's what I got from Larry Williams' 4 video tapes. I could care less about the things he was talking about technically. I knew that like the back of my hand. When he would talk about, you got to be responsible. You got to be personally responsible. Like he was Uncle Larry to me. Like that man still holds hero status to me. And I know I preach against hero stuff, but not on the level of worshiping online. Okay? I don't want anybody treating me like that. I don't deserve that. And no other man deserves it either. And Larry doesn't either. But I needed a father figure. And I tapped into his speaking points on how I'm supposed to account and be responsible, because I wasn't responsible before that. Trading forced responsibility because I was a very stationary person, introverted. And an introverted man with an extroverted girl that got married way too young for all the wrong reasons, that's a doomed relationship. But because my heart was poured into it, I didn't want to let go of it. Just like you don't want to let go of what you think is normal. It's normal for you to wake up every day and feel, what if something bad happens sooner than I thought? It's funny when you think about it said like that, isn't it? But that's exactly what you do. Yeah, well, I woke up feeling like I want to take a trade, but I wonder how fast I can blow this account today. That's exactly what you're thinking. That's exactly what you're thinking deep down inside, right before you push the button. And you're hoping that somehow you're wrong. That's your trading model. I hope I'm wrong today. Click. Well, I wasn't wrong today. Woo! I love being in normalcy. Better get some more money. Hope they do a discount. What's that new code for the prop firm again? I'm not making fun of you, folks. I did this with real money. That's way more painful. Way more emotionally destabilizing, demorally miserable. And I wasn't making a lot of money back then. So you have to pour yourself into laying a dreamscape. Cheerlead yourself in your journal. Instead of saying, what if something really bad goes on? What if I lose? What if I blow the account? What happens if this doesn't work on my next 10 trades? Change that to, what if I've waited too long to be disorganized? How incredible will I see my results turn around and be more consistent when I'm not focused on the adversities that could happen? And I don't know if they're going to happen, but if they do, that's why I have risk management. That's why I have a stop loss. That's why I don't over leverage. See, when you have a system and you have an organization and you have a model that you say, I can't trade more than this many contracts. I can't take more than this many trades per day. I can't risk this much money on any one individual trade. You know what that does? See, men, we think that is, you can't do something. You better not do it. You better not. And the young punk in us sees that sign, says, don't walk on the grass. What are we going to do? Say it. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to moonwalk on that. That's how we're wired. We're cavemen. We're like Neanderthals. You have to do this. You can't drive faster than 55 and don't cross the yellow line. And what do? The guy in front of us is going too slow. Get the fuck out of my way. I'm crossing the yellow line and I'm doing 85 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. Why? Because I'm a fucking caveman. That's why. I'm just wired that way. But you can't do that in trading. You can't do that in trading. You're going to have your hinder parts handed to you expediently. It's going to happen just like that. You're going to think you're special. They happen so quickly for you. That's service with a smile. You got to tell yourself, what if I get 5 winning trades in a row? How exciting is that? And if it happens that you get a losing trade, you don't go in there, oh, well, I blew that. You say, you know what? This is what I learned from taking that loss, and I'm glad I only lost a little bit. I have this much money still in my trading account, and I am getting experience. I am learning how to manage losses. Done. Done. You're not, I got to get back real quick. I got to grab my club, walk outside my front door of my cave and go find something and bonk it on the head and drag it back to my cave, because that's what a caveman does. Cavemen don't make good traders. You don't see any cavemen trading. But you have to trade your nightmarish perspective for a dreamscape perspective. You got to really energize yourself and focus on the positives of everything, even if it's a losing trade. That is experience that you can't pay for outside of what your loss was. You can't buy that in a book. I can't sell you that experience. You have to experience it. No one can make you better by having the idea instilled in you that you're never going to have a losing trade. But the people that are doing the best in this industry are the ones that are going to be upfront and say, you know what, here's what's going to happen to you, okay? You're going to feel like you're ready to do it before you should. And you're going to make the mistake. Everybody does it. I did it. I rushed in there. I rushed in and I had my ass handed to me in one day. And it scared me. But that lesson I still hold today. It taught me that even though I was wrong, somebody made 50% of my trade. What it cost me for that option, they made that in sleep. It woke up and the option value was in half. Fire sale. See you later. Thanks for playing, Michael. That scared me. And the initial fear transformed into, wait a minute. This is a net sum zero game, Linda. The bottom line is this. If you're losing, somebody else is getting that money. So who's getting it? The person that was right. So I changed my perspective to what happens if I lose again? What happens if I blow another account? What happens if I'm wrong all week long? What if I'm wrong in the direction? What if I picked the wrong grain market? Because back then I was trading grains, soybeans, oats, corn, wheat. I said, you know what? I'm going to strip this down and remove all of these moving parts. I got too many things, like a kid in a candy store. I don't know what I want to grab next. I need to focus on one market, bonds. And I was interested in S&P. And here's the thing, okay? You want to see influence and effect in my life? I was killing it in bonds. But because I kept watching those videos, Larry Williams saying, you know, I made this much money in S&P, I made this much money in S&P, I made this much money in S&P. What am I hearing? You better be trading S&P or you're not going to be like your hero. Come on, get like Larry, boy. Get your ass in there and trade the S&P. Come on. And while it only had a very small range daily, a couple handles daily, your average stop loss is many times greater than the average daily range back when I was trading the S&P. It's like we're cussing and pissing a fit if you would have saw what that volatility was like applied to today. Like you don't even know like how good you got it right now. Like you have no idea how good you got it. Ask somebody like Larry Williams, who's got, you know, a decade more experience than I do, and I lived those years, and he lived them before I did, and he's traded that market more than I have and longer than I have, with more contracts than I ever did. Think about that. I guarantee if you asked him, what's the volatility like compared to today and when you were trading in 1987, in 1990, up to 1995, the volatility was really, really, you know, constricted. But you can find setups. And today, you have the gift. You have the gift of what we prayed for. We prayed to the illusionary gods of the market back then. Please, market gods, let this market move 10 handles today. It wouldn't. But the bottom line is we would do it. We had these problems of talking to the screen, talking to the charts, talking to the TV, FNN, Financial News Network. It's later became CNBC, I think it was. If someone said something bad about the market you're in, shut up, you so-and-so. You're going to make the market go down against me. Come on, man. I've been there, but I don't do that now. Why? Because somebody else's opinion, in my opinion, is wrong. Everybody else is wrong. Why do I think that way? Is it narcissistic? No. Outwardly looking at me, it sounds like a narcissist. It sounds like this guy is full of himself. Well, that's true because I've filled myself up with positivity. I'm so sugary sweet with love of myself that nobody's bringing me down. It's not going to happen because I did this to myself for years, for decades, feeding positivity in my journal. It's like a superpower. You see it, I'm online. Somebody comes and talks smack to me. I'm out there on X. I'm not hiding from anybody. But somebody comes at me, I'm immediately, bam, right back in your face. Give it to them. And that's really why I'm on X. I can't put it down. I'm so addicted to just slapping them around. I just love it. But if I'm going to be there, I might as well make it a carnival-like atmosphere and share some stuff too, right? I know for the guys thinking right now, but why aren't you on Telegram right now? You've been real quiet in Telegram. Well, we were in a big move this week. So Daddy had to take care of things, and I didn't want to mess it up. And the volatility is too high, and there's too many of you that are brand new. I don't want to say something and influence you in a time when the market could absolutely take your head clean off. So I moved to what? The higher time frame. So you still got what I told you was going to happen, and you've seen it. But if you wrecked yourself, you did it to yourself because I was not in there calling 1 minute candlesticks where you could have been influenced by me. That's responsibility. A 20-year-old me on America Online, we would have been in there with cowboy boots on. Woo! Let's stomp around in this. Let's get it on. Let's get mud on the tires, baby. Now, 53 years old this year, a little reserved. I understand that, I felt like I was addicted to crack of looking at everything on the marketplace when I was coming up. If anybody was talking about the market, I don't care what they were talking about. Bollinger Bands, all that silly stuff. Moving average crossovers, point and figure charts, whatever it was, I was there listening to it. I was like, keep talking, baby, keep talking. It's like pillow talk. Now, what I try to do, and unfortunately other people from other, persuasions of trading, they don't like me because I basically say everything that they're doing is wrong. And that's me staying kayfabe. It's like in wrestling. I'm always in character. Always in character. Meaning that if we're going to talk the markets, we're going to talk the markets on my terms because every one of you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're all lost. You don't know what you're doing. So I don't want to hear your opinion. So if we're going to talk about the markets, we're going to talk my language, and I'm going to do most of the talking. It's not a discussion. You can ask me a question, but you're not teaching me anything. You're never going to teach me anything. And I've done that to myself where I've basically mutated into this, you can't even touch me. You can't even get on my plane. You can't even do that. I had to do this to myself because I was not mentally equipped. I was not confident. I did not have any optimism as a young man. So I had to feed myself that. Just like anybody that works out, you can go to the gym all you want, but if you're eating Twinkies and fucking Ho-Hos, you are not building muscle, okay? You're not doing it. You're not washing it down with a Diet Coke and thinking, well, I'm saving some calories. You're doing nothing for yourself but wrecking it. So I had to feed myself good nutrition and had to cut out all the junk food. That means everybody else's bullshit, everybody else's opinion, all that stuff. Everybody else's stuff is junk food to me. I don't eat candy bars. I don't drink milkshakes. I don't eat Ho-Hos and Twinkies. I don't do that stuff. I have a very bland, plain diet. It's not very elaborate. And I don't use a lot of spices either. And that's how I want my market discussion. It's what I put on my plate. I don't care to know what you do in your market. I don't care how you trade your market. But if someone wants to talk about their adversities and how they overcame them, a la Street Smarts, not Street Smarts, Market Wizards Volume 1 and 2. After 2, everything else went to shit. But those two books are great. Great. And I tapped into those, not because they taught anybody how to trade, and I've said this before, but because they shared experiences. When Kit would do his ICT concepts, I don't know what it was, something, there's a name for it, he used to call it, where Tanya and a number of other online Twitter or personalities that have grown to be, pillars now. You all see them now. I love tapping into that and listening to them. I felt a little uncomfortable because they put me in the spotlight too much, and that's why I don't go to many people's live streams and make myself known, because it ends up becoming, oh, it's ICT, and then it's disrespectful. But I loved listening to other people's experiences, what they're going through, and sometimes you could hear them weeping in front of you. You know what? I fucking love that. Not because they're feeling pain or misery or discomfort, but because they're being fucking real, genuine. They're not out there taking fucking pictures of their fucking plate with some bullshit food on it, running around, hey, buddy, here, take your phone. I'm going to walk to my car. Watch this. They're going to love this. This fucking car doesn't mean much. It doesn't even cost that much. But guess what? I'm walking with some music added to it. Look at this. Like a fucking montage. Look at me, man. Look at me walking. Look at me walking. That means I'm absolutely the best fucking trader in the world. Come at me, bro. They weren't doing that. They weren't doing that. Everybody that came up and Kit allowed that voice to be heard through his presentation in his space, they were talking from their heart. And the ones that got down real deep and showed their vulnerability, I was weeping with them. They tugged at my heartstrings, because I lived like that too. I went through that. I went through the times where nobody thought this was going to pan out. They weren't convinced at all that this stuff was possible to make money, until I pulled their fucking annual salary out of their fucking ass with one fucking trade and said, don't you ever tell me I can't do something. Don't you ever tell me that I can't do this. You might recline and you sit back in your chair and say, this is living. I got 40 hours, and maybe if you're doing manager, 50 hours minimum. I got insurance paid for. I got a mortgage being paid for. I'm fucking set, baby. That ain't living to me. That's slavery. And they brainwashed your ass thinking that this is living good. That's the American dream. Fuck you. It's a nightmare. That is a nightmare. You got to change your perspective on what they say is success in this world to saying, I don't need to get up and do shit today. I got money making money for me whether I push a button in trading at all, ever. Taking down annual salaries of a fucking doctor every single month, and I do nothing. Nothing. Beat that shit. What's the percentage return on doing nothing but making that every month? What's that going to work out to be? Well, you don't do shit. If you let these people, whether they're family members or friends or online people, talk down to you, and you take that in, if you absorb that and you let it affect you, you're laying down. You joined the nobody class in that statement. Nobody believes in me. You got to change that. Everybody else is doubting me. Fucking good. I love it. Because it's going to be so much sweeter when I just live my life, and they got to lick it up. They got to lick it the fuck up, and I ain't got to say shit. All I got to do is walk out, get in my fucking car, and live. Be seen in public. Be seen. Wow. That guy, I bet you he's got his shit together. Bet you she's got her shit together. All you influencers, okay? Some of you I like. You need to tone down all the proof with the materialistic stuff. Because what you're doing is exactly what the mistake I made when I was 20 years old. I was projecting. Look at me, I'm successful. I wasted too much money on this car. I wasted too much money on this bullshit. I've wasted too much money on jewelry that I don't fucking even like. But guess what? I'm doing it because I know it's going to get your attention. Because I need your attention. Back then, I needed it. I don't fucking need your attention. How many videos have been putting up? I don't even want to do it. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm at the latter portion of my life. And all of that carnival-like atmosphere isn't that interesting to me anymore. Once in a while, I'll come out here and pull something out like this, and some of you are probably thinking, oh, he's back to cussing again. when I get passionate and energetic and I'm living old memories, it's going to tap into real emotion. And if that's offensive to you, deal with it. You got a choice, folks. You're going to live in nightmare, or you're going to thrive in dreamscape. Everything is like taking a ride on the good ship Lollipop, baby. Every fucking day is a good day. Every day is a good day. Every day is a good day. Every decision made is an informed decision, and there's no regret in it. Why? Because we are algorithmically, principally oriented to trading. We're not looking at guessing. We're not hoping a pattern forms. We're not trying to get in front of a pattern that we're hoping is going to form. That's impulsive. We're waiting for the time. We're waiting for the fucking time. The time is now. That's when you look for the setup. Pray tell, is that guessing? Is that guesswork? I have done a clinic this year. I have literally made a clinic proving. If you want to say you don't believe in it anymore, good. You just failed the IQ test. You're a fucking idiot. Because if you see this much evidence proving that the markets are absolutely systematically programmed, scripted to go to specific prices at specific times and then get animated to go to a predetermined level, guess what that means? You're blind to it. If you can't see that, you're blind. And I can't tolerate that now. I have no tolerance for it. It's been fun up till now, but I've pulled back the veil. You have no excuse now. You have no excuse. Zero. You're either joining and jumping in the plasma pool, or you're getting the hell out of here. And that's exactly what this is today. This is a litmus test for you. If you think that your supply and demand zones wipe off horse shit, supply and demand, Elliott wave, pitchforks up your ass, all that stuff, you think all that stuff means anything outside the element of time, this is when the market's going to move. This is when it's not going to move. I've shown you that every week. Every time I sat down and told you this is what the market's going to do, this is what's going to market do. There's been a couple times I give you some cliffhangers. Oh, something's going to happen. Oh, look at this. He comes out, rookie sensation. That's not bragging, folks. It's not bragging when it's facts. It's not bragging at all when it's facts. You need to sit down and think to yourself, do you want to subscribe to unbelievable bullshit that's written about in books, that is archaic, that literally has you doing a 50-50 outcome? 50-50. Let me ask you a question. We say it proverbially that every time we get in our car and drive to work, we have a 50-50 chance of getting in a car accident and dying. But in reality, is it really 50-50? It's not. How many times have you been going there? How many times did you have an accident? Next to never, right? For some of you that have been blessed. For those of you who recklessly drive, you're like, well, not for me, ICT. I drive 85 miles an hour, man. And I take speed bumps like hills to jump, like Dukes of Hazzard. So, it's no surprise that I'm having a lot of adversity driving to work. Here in trading, we're not trying to do things recklessly. We're waiting for a time. We are giving ourselves no permission. And this is why it's hard. It's expensive forging that level of responsibility and discipline, because it's going to cost you a lot, because you're going to have to go through a lot of sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting. I saw this guy or this girl, she just got a payout. She did this and she's trading this market. I'm trading the wrong one. ICT, why aren't you trading ES? Damn it. You need one market, folks. One. Limit your focus to one. And let that be your entire career. You only need an imbalance in price. That's it. An imbalance in price, no matter what market it is an opportunity. You do not increase your likelihood of finding said opportunity by increasing the number of markets you're following. What you're doing is diluting your attention. I don't give a fuck who says otherwise. 90% of the people talk that bullshit. Yeah, I made so-and-so percentage 10 fucking years ago, unsubstantiated. You don't have any proof of it. But you hang on the nuts of these people that they give their opinion with no evidence that they even know what they're talking about. Oh, I really respect this so-and-so, so-and-so. Oh, yeah? What has they shown? Well, he just talks a lot and does a lot of shit posting. Well, okay. Contrast that with the real McCoy. You don't have to like me, folks. This is not a warm up to ICT, and wow, he's my hero. That's not what this is. I'm an anti-hero. I don't want you to like me. I don't want you to like me. But I do want you to listen. And I thought about, as I was saying this in my comments in setting up what is this, a space here. I could have, I was going to go on YouTube, but I knew I knew tapping into this old painful stuff for me. I'm going to use some colorful language. Not because I want to, but because I'm reliving stuff, folks. Go back to a moment when you had your teeth kicked in and you're at the lowest low. If you're human, you're going to feel it, man. You're going to feel it. And I've had to hold back tears in this presentation with you a couple times already because those are wounds that don't really heal. They don't heal entirely. So the way I forge the strength and the focus to move forward and not dwell on those old wounds, because nothing cuts deeper than a family member telling you you're going to be a failure. Especially the ones that you look up to as a child, looking at them and thinking, I want to be like them. They have a house, they have a swimming pool, they have 2 cars, they make over $700 a week at their job. And then they tell you you're going to fail. Instead of turning toxic and saying, go fuck yourself and I'm never going to be around you anymore, I just took a step back and said, I'm not going to tell them anymore what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do. See, in trading, there's talkers and then there's doers. And if you're an influencer and you're showing all the materialistic stuff, I don't care how you made your money, okay? Make the money, make it. But if you're taking so much effort in producing content that shows, look at me and my lifestyle, and you compare and contrast how much that is compared to here's what I do trading, and here's me doing it, and how I do it. Yeah, I'm not interested. And I'm sorry if that offends you, but I'm not meaning to offend anybody. But what you're doing is you're sugarcoating your bullshit. And people that know what bullshit tastes like, we know underneath the sugarcoating, it's still shit. So we don't eat it. We don't like it. We don't subscribe to it. We don't want to see it. And that's why I never do those things. I don't ever do those things because that's not going to make you a better trader. It's not going to have any impact on your bottom line, ever. It's never going to do anything that makes you better. Worst case scenario, if you see all the toys and how much money I spend on this and how much I do this and that, it's going to make you feel like, well, I want to do like that, and I'm going to trade larger and more frequent because I want to do what ICT does. And that's not going to pan out well because you're doing things wrong. You're trying to impulsively make decisions and monetize those decisions on an extrapolated level, which means over leveraging, over trading, and doing things that are not even in the model that you think you are supposed to be following, but you're going to lie to yourself. Oh, that's still my model. I'm only supposed to be trading with 1 micro, but fuck it. I got the money. I'm going to do 15 contracts because they said I could. That's some funny shit, man. Start a prop firm. You ain't trading with real accounts. Give them 15 imaginary contracts and let them blow it out and give them a sale price. And they'll think you're doing them a favor. Oh, man, that's the biggest fucking scam I've ever seen. But guess what? Guess what? The people that listen, the people that really listen to what I told them these markets are going to do, guess what they're doing? Guess what the fuck they're doing? They're going in there, kicking the front door in, stomping the fuck around like they own the place, and taking their money. I'm not talking about $500. I'm not talking about $10,000. Millions, motherfucker! Millions! Sweet. Oh, but ICT. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here with that shit. You have been seeing monstrous results by people using what I've been preaching, and guess what? There's nothing holding you back but you. Just you. Just you. I'm not holding you back. I'm talking to you on a medium that is not monetized. In fact, everybody else is going to take what I'm doing right now and put it on their YouTube channel and make ad revenue off of it, and I don't give a fuck. Where's my motivation? I'm trying to put a boot in your ass. Listen, I told you in 2016, this is what's going to happen. This guy's going to get in there, and they're going to use him as the fall guy. We watched some Rick and Monroe in 2020, and then endured 4 years of horse shit, and now they have the stage perfectly set. Perfectly set. And here you have it. I don't give a flying fuck what tariffs are going to be. I don't care. Oil can go to $100 a fucking barrel or $200 a barrel. I'm still driving my fucking V8 Corvettes. I'm not giving a fuck. Inflation can't go high enough for me to be worried about it. That's the mentality you get. When you know what you're doing, you ain't worried about what the fucking grocery receipt says at the bottom line. You really don't. I feel it because I know there's a lot of you that listen to me. And maybe I'm hurting your feelings or making you feel like, oh, you're a jerk. You're talking like that. I'm talking from a position of being blessed, period. And it didn't just happen overnight. I had to work towards things. I had to cut things out of my life. I had to make sacrifices with friends and family and take myself away from a lot of things that people want to do right now, and they think that's called success. It's not. Influencers, listen to me. When you put that stuff out there and you show, here's what I wasted my money on, knowing that there's going to be a small faction of us as the audience that's going to say, oh, I wish I had that. And you might see the trolling responses there. Oh, what a bullshit. You don't really trade that much. You don't make that much money. You're an affiliate marketer. You know, you're a girl. You're a guy that doesn't even know how to trade. You've been caught paper trading before. All the bullshit. They'll see those things, mute them, but then they'll look at the one that says, I wish I had what you have. And they take that inside. They file it away and they say, yep, that builds me up. Yep, that proves that I know what I'm doing and what I'm doing is the right decision. No, it's not. I'm not saying don't celebrate when you have something as a victory and you buy a toy. But if your entire scheme, your whole presentation is based on that, you're actually not getting anything for yourself that's constructive. You're sugarcoating, you're masking, and you're putting things behind blinders. You're telling yourself that this is what you're doing trading for. When if you were really sitting down, if you and I were sitting down and we were privately talking, no recordings, no cameras, I'm not going to tell anybody what you're going to say. And I say to you, when you put that video out and you don't really have the response that you were hoping you was going to get, what does it do for you? It sucks. I kind of expected a bigger pop. Right. Now, internally, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again with something outside of trading. The success of trading. You need to fall in love with you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing as a consistently profitable trader that is detail-oriented. That's what your primary focus should be. And guess what that means? You're going to be fucking boring. But guess what? I'm probably the richest boring motherfucker on X. I am boring as shit. I'm boring. And guess what that means? I got money. I got money. I don't need to share or show what I spent my money on. I don't need to do that. I do absolutely. I got my bank accounts. I don't need to be reminded by somebody else saying, shit, you're successful. I know I'm successful. I wake up knowing I'm successful. I'm thanking God every single day that he's given me this position in life. I'm thankful for that. Everything that I do in teaching you is geared towards that. Not materialism. Not, oh, I got this. Look how much money I wasted on a Rolex. I'm in the Rolex store. This is the Rolex I'm putting on my wrist, but I'm going on a fucking black market and buying some knockoff horse shit because you're going to see that thing on my wrist and you think I spent $15,000, $30,000, whatever. Fuck you, you're a liar. I got watches that cost more than your fucking house. Get the fuck out of here. So the point is this. You have to literally dial in and cut out everything. And guess what that means? Me included. Some of you are ready right now, but you're holding on to the reins and saying, drive me faster, ICT. Yeah! Instead of just doing. I'm talking to new people all the time that's coming in. And so many of you are ready. You know enough. You know enough. But you're not doing anything with it. Not properly, you're not. But when you're in the community, like right now, you're listening to me, you're thinking, well, listen, I see he's really wound up today. I gotta be honest with you, I do feel pretty good right now. My back ain't hurting. That's the adrenaline, endorphins. They'll wear off. I'll be crying later on. But when you leave the element, when this presentation ends and the little dopamine wears off, what are you gonna be left with? Well, that was fun. I'll have to listen to that next time when I feel a little bit down and out. But you're going to be feeling down and out an hour after this ends. Why? Because you're going to think about what I talked about. You're going to think about how I pinned you in a corner and I said, these are the things that you're doing and they're wrong. And you want to have selective hearing when you're listening to me. You're like, well, that applies to somebody else, not me. If you've done that in this presentation, while we talking, you're the person I'm talking to. You know enough to be consistently profitable. You know enough to find setups that you never need to watch another video by ICT. You don't ever need to listen to another Twitter space. You don't ever need to listen to any kind of nothing ICT. I have given so many ways to skin this cat. But you know what remains constant? You got to work your ass off. There's no shortcuts to it. I don't care what they titled their video. ICT, learn it in 5 minutes. I studied everything, and I'm going to teach it to you in this video, so that way you don't have to worry about doing what is absolutely fucking required, which is backtesting, studying, and finding how it works within you. Does it match your personality? Not all of you can trade a turtle soup. Not all of you can trade the silver bullet. Now, because of the first predictive fair value gap is come on. I mean, it's literally the very first one that forms, and it's in a 30-minute window. It's very time specific for the morning session, and it's used throughout the week. And now I gave you the secrets to the afternoon session. Come on. Think about it. Think about what I gave you just for the afternoon. Fuck the morning session. Say you're not even good at picking the direction in bias. Who cares? Okay? Let the morning session trade. Come back around 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. And then wait for 1:30. Start watching that opening range, that 30-minute opening range. And please, gentlemen, please stop talking about a 15-minute opening fucking range. You're literally bullshit. It's bullshit. Do it on 30 minutes. I promise you, the shit you're pretending that you're going to find eventually in watching 15 minutes, it's going to be perfect in 30 minutes because that is exactly what the algorithm uses. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I'm proving it. Everybody has their opinion, but I fucking walked it in front of all of you this year. All of you saw it. How many times have I been wrong? Fuck all. None. I've been on it. And I haven't even tried. I haven't even fucking tried hard. And this is what I presented to you that's realistic for you. You can obtain what I did this year. Every single one of you listening to my voice can do what I showcased this year. That's not outperforming, unprecedented odds. That's in the realm of reasonable. Everything I taught you is already on the YouTube channel. And I use the information that's in that YouTube channel all year long. I didn't reinvent or twist and contort the logic. You're waiting for this time. You're waiting for this draw on liquidity to be a factor. Okay, I know it's going to likely go there, and this is the time I'm supposed to be looking for the setup. I have to wait for the setup to be there. And then I gave you a criteria that helps you frame a setup, how to manage the risk, how to take the trade and manage it. None of you can say otherwise. You cannot deny that this was outlined for the entirety of this year. I've laid this out for you. And guess what? That's elementary. That is grade school level nothing compared to what you can obtain if you use everything that I taught. Now, that is not an invitation to go in there and say, oh shit, that's the invitation ICT's been waiting to give. Everybody needs to use everything the ICT uses. Everything you've ever taught. You got to do all that stuff. I don't do that. I am not in there taking every available trade. I'm one person. I'm not omnipresent. Like I'm in one location at one time, and my mind is focused on that market and the thing I'm looking for because I have an affinity for an outcome based on a higher time expectation. But if I really want to get down and clown, I can go on that 15-second chart, 5-second chart, and tear shit up. I'm always ready for that. But for teaching purposes this year, I gave you higher time frame direction, everything, how it should be out and where it should be impactful for turning points and all that, criteria that would negate that idea if I'm wrong. So you had a complete treatment. Everything was shown from the lens of if you studied very diligently and you've been consistent about being positive in your journaling, looking for the bright side of everything, not talking down to yourself, not hanging around in circles where people like to trash my name or my concepts or say they rebranded. Man, fuck you. Find somebody else out there doing what you just watched me do this year, explaining it in that detail, that precise, and then put the lame tags of Wyckoff, which ain't there, supply and demand ain't there, Elliott Wave ain't there. None of that shit's there. See, that's the problem. They see me doing it, and then when it's done, oh, well, that's so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay. Or you do the same thing. The next 3 months, you do it in front of everybody. Don't delete anything and don't ever fucking edit a fucking post, not one. And do it in a setting where everybody can track it. Then your opinion matters. Because right now, all of you are fucking tongueless to me. You have no voice. You have no opinion that matters. Zero. And you fucking think I can't go out there and take that fucking Robbins cup? I've made a mockery of that shit. I literally have shown you that it's nothing. It's nothing. That's nothing. It's more scary. It's more risk for me to go out and do what I've been doing, putting my name on front of. See, if I take trades in Robbins, you don't know what trades I'm taking. You don't know what I'm doing. But guess what I'm doing? Woo! Here I am stepping out on the stage. So here's what this 1 minute candle is going to do. And this is the next 1 minute candle. It's going to go here. It's going to go here. Now it's going to go up. It's going to go down here. It's not going to go here. It's not going to go here, baby. Find somebody else that's doing that shit because it ain't fucking there, baby. It's just me. Good old fucking ICT. Talking about ain't no fucking algorithm. Man, you're fucking clueless. I couldn't do this if there wasn't one. You honestly think that I could be that smart? There's nobody that smart. There's nobody that has that level of discretionary risk-taking and that perfect. Unless they're using something that is completely scripted. And I proved it in a time frame that I can't fake it. And an audience level that's big enough to say, hey, that man did that. Uh-huh. And I don't have to be grandiose about it and hang my fucking name on a website and take a man who I have a lot of respect for and remove him. It's coming. But I cannot do it while he's here. I won't do it. But it's going to come down. And when it's that time, then you'll see it. I'm not going to announce it. You're just going to see it happen. So I love when you leave those little comments. I love it. But Robbins Cup. But how's the Robbins Cup going? Yeah. How about that $500,000 fucking dollars, baby? How about those 3 fucking months of every day killing it ICT style? We don't want to talk about that, do we? Get the fuck out of here. It's beautiful. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Some of you young men, very rarely it's the young ladies, but it's the young men, they're like, I can't wait to learn how to do this because I'm going to go out there and defend your name, ICT. Why? I'm having too much fun. You don't need to defend me. Can't you see I'm doing that on my own at my leisure? You're trying to do something in trading to justify an outcome that doesn't matter. I'm not going to high five you. Yeah, you killed it for me. You really defended me today, brother. I don't do that. You need to look at your job Okay? Look at your coworkers and say, you know what? I'm slightly better than you, and I don't really deserve to be in this bullshit. And I don't deserve the low pay that they're giving me. So you may resign yourself to doing this the rest of your life, but I'm not doing that. So in 6 to 9 months, I'm going to be replacing my income here. And then once I double it consistently, I'm going to look for the exit ramp. And I'm out. I'm not going to come back here. You need to make plans. You need to live your life through a dreamscape perspective. That means everything you want to see happen, there has to be a structure in place that leads to you getting there. And it has to be practical. Not, well, I want to make $100,000 a week. I want to get 30 accounts on this prop firm and this prop firm, that prop firm, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to sail off in the sunset. There has to be a structure, okay? There has to be an absolute defined structure. To answer the guys that are complaining to me in my comment section, dude, you're giving flowers to 2 guys that are ripping you off and they're monetizing and teaching your stuff. Okay, listen. My biggest complaint and how my name and my concepts have been abused and prostituted is, number one, my name brings attention. And if you want to get ads and attention on your videos, just put 3 letters in there, ICT, and they're going to click out of morbid curiosity, okay? It doesn't mean that it's worth watching the video. It just means that's going to draw the initial click. I have always maintained that my students are absolutely encouraged to go out there and make a name for themselves with the content. Now, that is not to sell my outright fucking videos, okay, because that's bullshit. And why anybody would pay for them when they're on my YouTube channel is just fucking ridiculous, but people still do it. I still get emails right now. I got 12 of them just this week saying, how can I join the private mentorship? How the fuck can you not see that I'm doing everything for free? Like, I'm not doing anything paid, nothing. But people still come to me. I guarantee you. And on April 1st, I was so tempted. I was going to put April 1st post up there. Mentorship, $250 a month, all that. But that would have been saved and screenshot, and they would have been using it 2 years from now. See, this is a piece of shit. He said he was never going to do a mentorship, and he's doing it there. So I was like, yeah, I ain't going to do it. It won't go over as well as I would like to see it go over. But if I did a mentorship right now, all your students that's paying you right now, they're leaving you and they're coming to my shit. All they got to do is see what I've been doing on that Telegram channel. And I put that shit on lockdown. Say, hey, that's it. Nobody's going to be able to come in here unless they pay. You're all looking for your fucking credit card. You're throwing it at me. Please let me be a part of that shit. I want to see this happen every fucking day. But I'm not going to do that. I'm taking a step back and letting the people that I taught shine. And guess what? If you have learned from me and you've done exceedingly well, a la Kane, Kyle, and a number of other people that you're about to see soon, if they market the approach on how they used it in their own hands, I don't have a fucking problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody knows how they got there. They worked their ass off for it. They put time into learning how to do it. They didn't watch one fucking video and say, I got this figured out, baby. It's easy now. They worked for it. And they are the highest paid motherfuckers in the prop industry because everything's prop right now. Prop. You have 2 fucking monsters. Monsters. So if they say, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to teach how I use this information, because guess what? They earned that. They earned it. My problem has always been people talking in hindsight. As soon as they grab that overlay, pretend net long position or pretend net short position, where the color red is where your risk is and the green is, or I think it's the color green, but it may be another color. And it's just the trade I took. If you're going to go through all the trouble of live streaming or making a video saying, here's the trade, and you're like, I think I got in here. As soon as they say, I think, that's bullshit. Because if you took the trade, you're going to show you took the trade. You're going to show those executions. You're going to show yourself recorded doing those trades. Isn't it fucking funny? Isn't it hilarious that everybody from our community that puts the effort in learning how to do this stuff, predominantly, they're the ones that show their whole fucking trade in recording from beginning to end. And I am proud as a motherfucker. I'm so proud to see that because we are leading. We are not following shit. We are not emulating anybody else, but every fucking body else wants to emulate us. Why? Because we are cut from a different cloth. We don't think like retail traders. We do not think about what an indicator is going to tell us to do. We're not subservient to bullshit. We are on the razor edge of perfection in the marketplace. You can't get better than to the tick. You can't. Talk to me about a fucking Bollinger Band. Get the hell out of here. You don't know. You don't know what time that Bollinger Band's going to touch price. You're waiting for it. Well, guess what I've done? I've simplified that. You're waiting for a 10-minute window, or in deference to the final hour trading, 30 minutes with a 315 to 345. I had two guys leave me a comment saying, I watched your video last night. You've never mentioned 315 to 345, so now you're bullshit, you're making up stuff. Okay, listen, guy. Maybe you didn't watch everything and listen to everything I've ever produced, okay, but I absolutely have called that. There's 4 macros in just the last hour of trading. So there's your homework assignment. Go find out what I told you what they were. So you need to plan how you're going to be successful. Now, when I was younger, I subscribed to Rob Report, and that was my motivation. That was my motivation for boats, cars, watches. That's how I found Patek. I fell in love with those watches, and I've wasted a lot of money. I ain't gonna lie, but that magazine was like my. As a child, we used to wait for the Sears catalog to come in. Now I'm dating myself by saying that, but guess what? I'll be 53 years old in case you missed it. But the Sears catalog would come in right before Thanksgiving. And we would take our ink pen and we'd scribble over top of everything we wanted in the toy section as a kid. Well, when we have that same spirit of expectation, we plan ahead like a child in Christmas. I had to think like a child when I was 20 years old because I had been beaten down, emotionally and psychologically with the way I was my upbringing. It wasn't nurturing. So I would have no problem living vicariously through movie characters and superheroes and things like that because it gave me an escape. And I understand how some of you young men tap into me, and I'm like that for you. But I'm telling you, don't let that be a problem because it can be. It becomes worship too much, and that's bullshit. I'm not worthy of worship. I'm not supposed to be lifted up on a pedestal. I'm just like you. I put my pants on the same fucking way. And I'm going through pain right now. If you saw me, you'd be like, man, you're tore up. Right. I'm human just like you are. But you need to plan how you're going to be successful. Doesn't mean go through the list of every supercar you ever wanted to have. It doesn't mean plan on how you're going to show how you did this, bought that one, went into debt for this one. But it does mean when I make this much money and I reach this goal, I'm going to visit this destination. And that's what I did. I had destinations outlined and schedules. I would like to get, hear what I said there? I would like to get to Fiji by this age at this time. I would like to get to Australia. I was going to go, but there's too many fucking things in Australia that want to kill you, and it's too easy, so I stayed the fuck away from Australia. But the idea of planning where we're going to spend our success, the things that we want to do. Like I always wanted a nice home. I still want a log cabin. I've been trying to talk my wife into it. She's not big on the whole thing, but I think they're beautiful. I'm not talking about some Uncle Ben's bullshit. Okay, I'm talking about a really nice out in like Montana, big sprawling log cabin, big ass fireplace. To me, I think that would be awesome. Even if we use it for just the holiday season, that'd be awesome. But and get some horses and stuff. When I was younger, my family had horses and stuff, so I'm used to having that. So that's for the guys that were saying, why did you talk about that Neat the Hoof guy? Because I grew up around all that stuff. And when you see it, we don't look at it like, ew. But anyway, I digress. Planning your success, and I'm going to close it. What do you want to acquire in life? And you need to be very, very specific. If it's just lots of money, that's not specific. And having a dollar amount is not what I'm asking. Where are you going to be living? And how are you going to be living? How is your ends going to be met? Are you rushing to get to something like a big house, even if you pay cash for it? Your big houses cost a lot of money when they go down. Like you have to repair things, you have to replace things. You got to, just to paint my walls of my house that I got 3 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that. Cost me $48,000 just to paint the walls. Not the ceiling. I got to do them this year. Where's that money going to come from? If you have a big house, you want to buy a big arsenal of cars. Okay, that's going to cost you lots of money in upkeep if you're going to keep them, or waste money turning them, giving them back to get money. I did all those things. It's stupid. You can buy a supercar and pay $15,000 for the oil changes. That's stupid. That's dumb. And you're spending that money to get a pop from people that you're not going to spend time with. You're monetizing your personal expenses to fund a small, significant amount of time. And whenever that response is given to you by adoration from people that you're never going to meet, oh man, I wish I was like so-and-so. Look at their cars. Oh, I wish I was like him because he made this much money, so-and-so, in this trade. Once that's said, it's over, done. But you're stuck with the bill and the wasted money. I learned those lessons in my 20s. I'm comfortable never showing anybody anything. I don't need to do that. And that's the mentality I want you as a student of mine. Like, you don't care what people think that you make or don't have. Who cares? Who cares? Is it changing? If you, honestly, okay, you got a couple $1 million just in one bank account, just in one. And that's where you draw from when things, got to be paid, and when you draw from for the year, when there's so many parties, and you're going to be doing gifts and vacations, and you're doing this and doing that. Anybody's opinion about you, what you can and can't do, is it going to diminish the amount of money in that bank account? The way these people fucking act on social media, you think that they're going broke every time someone says something bad about them. That's how you know when they're fucking really broke. If they're broke or on the cusp of being broke at any given time, or just don't have any money at all, they're the ones who are going to be the loudest when you talk about money. Oh, you ain't broke. Oh, let me get ahead and defend myself. Show my stuff. Let me show my stuff. That's how you know they don't have a lot of money. People that have a lot of money, they don't spend any time worrying, because it's like, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Who are you? Who are you? And that's the problem right now. You're looking at post-millions problems before you even made a dollar. You're trying to live your life like you got to defend yourself, defend who you're learning from, defend what you're learning, because you're too vocal in a position of ignorance still. That's not a demeaning remark. That's me saying, some of you go out there and you beat your chest and you say, ICT is the best way of trading, blah, 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 but you can't do it yet. And when people throw you smack talk back, you clam up, and that means you've completely took that counteractive response that they give you, which is natural, right? If you're going to talk smack, somebody on the internet's going to talk smack back. And they probably work in a Dunkin' Donuts, and they're never going to make it in life anywhere. But that little remark, because you're not equipped yet, that little remark is going to have a lasting impression. And it's going to cut you deep. And it's going to motivate you. Well, I'm going to go on there and watch. I'm going to take a trade, and I'm going to reply and show where my arrows are on this trade. And bada bing, bada boom, I've redeemed. Think about how many times you've done that. How many times have you done that because you feel like you got to defend what you're learning? Look around. Our community, and the giants that are rising up from it are doing all the proof that's necessary. If it didn't work, they wouldn't be taking millions of dollars out of these companies. And they're not affiliates. Make that make sense. You don't need to defend anything. Put your ass in the charts, study. Don't worry about what I'm doing next in a new video. I don't really want to do them, okay? You have enough. You have enough. And if you put yourself in front of the charts and you study and you work on pruning yourself, that means removing dead branches, the twigs that are dried up that's not going to bear any fruit. It might be friendships. Maybe you're in a friendship that's toxic as shit. Maybe you're around friends that you've known all your life, and I did this. And they just are not subscribed to how you're wanting to live your life in the direction you're taking it. And all they care about is weekend money, girl money. I got to get my job. I got to, can you borrow money? Can they borrow money from you? Because they're going to be short on this week so they can go to the bar and try to get laid. I had people like that in my life. Not anymore. Not anymore. My friends are on one hand now. And one of them has the majority of my time if I ever give it out. I have a very, very small circle of friendship. Where I was younger, I had lots of friends. And when I was coming up and making money, I had lots more fucking friends. I had people that didn't even fucking know me. They called me their best friend. Oh yeah, I know him. He's loaded me. Watch this. And I felt like I had to do stupid shit, like pay for everybody's meal, pay for everybody's entertainment, because I felt that I had to do those things or they wouldn't believe me because I was new money. New money acts like that. I'm telling you, when you make your money, don't act like new money. That means don't go proving something that you already know for yourself. That's weakness on your part and lacking character. You have all the evidence that you have in your own hands, in your own bank account, and your own results. There's no necessity for you to go out there and say, I'm going to go put this out there in the ether so that way they can remind me that this is real. That's what you're doing. And the people that have put the work and effort into doing this, they're not going out there for the sake of flaunting it. Now, do they go out and buy nice things? Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're not making that's the entirety of their presentation and that's who they are. They're showing you the receipts that they've done well. In my opinion, none of you should do that. I understand if you came from a humble background like I did, you just want to have a little attaboy, attagirl. You just want to have it. Okay, I understand. Believe me, I understand. If anybody doesn't understand it or understands it more than anybody else, it's going to be me. Because I felt like I had to prove everything to the whole world. But when you change your nightmare focus of how everything is bad, toxic, it's never going to work for you, and you trade that for everything on the up and up and a ride on the good ship lollipop, everything's just perfect. And everything that happens to you is for a purpose. Even when it is slightly painful, we don't magnify it. We don't beat up a trade and say, well, man, you should have never lost that. You should have never let it hit the stop. You knew it was going to go hit that stop, but you still kept the trade on. Why did you do that? You should have took it off. You knew the stop was going to get hit. You should have saved some of the stop. Don't even do that either. Because what you're doing is you're vilifying yourself. And right before you trade, let me tell you something. This is what's scientifically going on behind the scenes chemically inside your brain. Right before you push the button, even in a demo. All these people talking, oh, you got to trade with real money to learn how to trade with a real account. Because nothing's happening. There's no sense of concern when it's a demo. Bullshit. Tell me how you feel when you blew that account the first time you did it. You were pissed off, like, fuck. Man, if that would have been real money, that's scary. Shit, I ain't ready. Oh, just do a reset click. That's your dismissal of it. But you knew what that felt like. So the people that talk that shit say, oh, nah, that's horse shit. That's horse shit. You do not learn how to trade jumping right into a live account. And with $100, you got to put something on the line. You have something on the line. Your pride, your ego, your sense of self-worth, even in a demo. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells you. That's the truth. That is the truth. You know it because you felt it before you hit the reset. And now because you're trading funded simulated accounts, when you're paying that reset fee, you hate it. I don't give a shit if it's 99% fuck off. You don't want to pay that because you fucked up. You did something you knew you damn well should have never done, and you blew it. Well, guess what? You can take that experience and beat yourself up for years, like I did. Punish yourself and remind yourself that you don't deserve it. And the previous results are perfect illustrations of you don't deserve it. Look how many times you messed it up. I had Enigma. I had it 3 years before I knew I had it. I was tinkering with it, changing this and changing that instead of saying, what the hell, dude? Like this, like, but my pursuit of absolute perfection blinded me because I had this deep-rooted desire to feel significant because my own family members cut me deep when they said I wasn't going to be successful at it. Nobody's going to be able to do that. That doesn't make any damn sense because if anybody could do it, everybody would be doing it. And my wife, I wanted to win her back with success. In reality, I would have never wanted her back after what she's done if I was thinking, objectively. But because I was hurt, I stayed in that nightmarish perspective. Everything was bad, everything was toxic. And if you're taking that perspective into your trading, and in post-trade, if you have a bad example of execution, don't beat yourself up. Don't dwell on it, and don't solidify it and make a tribute to your demise on that one transaction. Because every single time, right before you push the button in your trading, whether it be demo, simulated account where you get paid out if it's profitable through these account companies, or it's real money. It does not matter. It's the same thing going on in your brain. You're worried about being wrong. That is the God's honest truth. You are worried about being wrong. Even if it's demo. I have had students literally email me flipping out, having anxiety attacks because they can't get even demo account results in the beginning because they're rushing it. And they're saying, how can I fix this? Well, you need to learn how to trade and you need to manage yourself and stop focusing on toxicity. You have to be your best and biggest cheerleader. And that means you're nurturing your future self. Whatever you record as negative, that's like a father telling their son, you're a miserable piece of shit. You're never going to amount to anything. That's gonna haunt them the rest of their life. I had that with my grandmother. Honey, you're lazy. I can hear her southern twang. That shit cut me. And guess what that was? That was rocket fuel. Not in the beginning. It was a reminder that this wasn't for me and I was never going to be successful and I'm never going to amount to shit. And I'm lucky if I get a job. That's what it made me think. But when I started applying this approach to how I think and how I live my life, I'm the biggest super fucking hero I know. I am. See, in nightmares, your escape from that thing that's coming after you, it's impossible. It's impossible. But guess what? In your dreams, impossible becomes I'm possible. I am possible. I am possible. I can do all those things in dreams. And I sat my ass down and I told myself, I'm going to crack this shit. And I'm not leaving until I do. And I gave my entire waking moments, even while driving, albeit unsafe, but I was doing everything I could. Every waking moment was poured into the marketplace. And I think after this year, you can see the fruits of that. What's that guy that plays chess, Bobby Fischer, I think it is. Yeah, I'm the fucking Bobby Fischer of price action. And you can call that narcissistic, bragging, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I literally can do this like it's nothing. I don't get worried about missing a setup. I'm not worried about missing a time. Okay. I know all the setups in between macros too. So go fuck yourself. You can talk all that bullshit from ignorance, trying to make a name for yourself on insults. You can't do shit. So how are you going to leave from today? Besides saying he said a lot of cuss words this time. This is how you're going to leave it. Your time post trade That means demo or back testing or forward testing, tape reading. You need to sow seeds of encouragement and reward yourself. Think about yourself right now as your own child. Because in a lot of ways, if you're brand new into trading, you are your own child. You're raising yourself. Now, if you're left to raise yourself and you don't have any boundaries, you don't have any parameters or sense of discipline, you're going to be a mess. So what you have to do is you have to be the good father figure, the good mother figure to yourself. And tell yourself in those journals, this is what you did right. And I'm so happy for you. In essence, that's what you're doing. But you're not talking to yourself in the third person. You're literally saying, I'm so thankful that I got to see this pan out this way. And if it's an adverse response that you were looking for, and it didn't, I'm sorry, if you were looking for something, a certain way to pan out, and an adverse result was given to you in the sense of a losing trade, or it would have hypothetically been a losing trade if you're tape reading, record the idea that, hey, look, I had the experience of seeing this many executions hypothetically, and I've gained the experience without having any of the risk and the hardships having done it. So what you're doing is you're constantly reminding yourself of risk. The people that blow up, they never have any sensitivity to risk. They have gambler's numbness. That's why they keep blowing accounts and they don't mind repaying it. They suck, they can't do it, and they still keep paying for it because they're numb to the risk. Why? Because it's only gonna cost them whatever the reset fee is. And when they do thousands of them, and they look back, oh man, I could have really funded my own account if I would have known how to trade in the beginning and just trade with one micro account or one micro contract and only one execution per day. I probably would have turned a profit and feel that much better about myself instead of this feeding this machine of nightmares. That's what you're doing. You're just feeding nightmares with the same repeating poor logic. And you're not doing anything to fix it. So you have to go back to the origin of why you're even here to try to learn how to trade. And if it's for the wrong reasons, materialism, show everybody that you're smart, show everybody that you're rich, that's all the wrong reasons. Success is living well and not needing to go around proving it to everybody. You don't need to do that because you're already comfortable. You can't sugarcoat me being happy every day waking up like I do. You telling me anything about how you think I live is not going to make it any better than it already is. That's how you define success. I am not worried about anybody else's opinion, whether it be good or bad. It doesn't affect me. It literally has no effect over me. And I like toying with everybody else that thinks that bothers me. If it bothered me, I wouldn't be on X. I wouldn't be there where everybody can take a jab at me. And you see how I am. But most of you aren't equipped to be like that. Every little bad thing they say about me, you take it personal, like they said it to you. Like they talked about your dad. Don't you talk about my dad. I'll bust your ass right here. That's how some of you act. And that just shows that you're still immature in this. You're still trying to find your way in yourself. And by having a principle-oriented approach to journaling, you can trade nightmarish perspective on life and trading to a dreamscape perspective, where everything is a positive and you filter out all the negativity, all of it. Because if you allow one shred of it, it'll fester. It's like this. It's the very, very small rock in your shoe. You can have all the nicest cushion shoes, hiking shoes, Jordans, whatever the hell you want to call it, best comfortable shoe in the world. Put a small little pebble in that bitch and see what happens. That's what you're inviting, that experience, when you let one thing of toxicity into your journal. When you let other people's influence into your circle. That means if you're on social media in trading and you're in like the Twitter segment of X or trading segment of it, basically where we are and where I'm located. If you're not equipped to handle things like this, don't ever talk. Don't comment to me. Don't comment to anybody else. Don't share anything. Be a gray man, a gray woman, where nobody notices you. And you're going to do so much better in your development. 100% guaranteed, because you're not going to be influenced adversely by someone's opinion, whether it be poor or toxic. It may be completely unfounded, which most of it is, you're going to take it personal and you're going to dwell on that. And if you do a trade and it misses, you're going to think, yeah, maybe there's people that do say ICTs are fraud or the ICT concepts are rebranded or this, that, and the other thing. Anything negative, you're going to start thinking about it. You're going to dwell on it. Like, maybe they're true. Am I wasting my time? Because I'm telling you, I have so many students that came back to me saying, I believe the bullshit, I messed up, and I've been putting the effort in, and now I may earn some $1,000. Here's the receipts of it, here's what I'm doing. And they're eating crow, basically saying, you were right. Here I am telling you you're right. And I'm thankful that I was smart enough to come back and listen to you, because I'm the most practical guy that you're going to listen to in trading. I've lived it all, I've done it all, and I'm proving it. There's nobody out there that's going to be able to tell you that their system's going to operate and give you the signal at this time of the day, every fucking day, and then do it. Nobody, not one motherfucker is going to be able to do that. But my students can. They learned it from me. And before me, it never existed. Never existed. And that's why I'm confident, because I know what time it is at all times. It's time to trade or it's not time to trade. That's how it works. I've defined everything in those terms. If it's time to trade, I'll find a setup. You see him, the troll. Oh, he's got all these things. He can justify stuff. You're damn right. I could fucking trade everything. I could trade it all. I could put all these Mickey Mouse indicators on my chart, but still trade what I know and use my PD arrays and time only the entries with the PD arrays when the moving average is sloping down. And you swear up and down, oh, it's working because of the moving averages. No. I thought about doing that so many times in the past, just to troll, just to do silly shit like that. But it's like, I would be causing more confusion by doing that, because somebody's going to take that information as a joke, like I've done in the past, and make it to be something it's not. So I have to be more guarded in some of the things I do, and the antics that I do on X now, because it's easy not to see my dry humor. And sometimes, because I can't edit, I can, but I won't edit any post, and because I won't delete anything. Once I put it out there, it stays. And sometimes I wish I wouldn't have done certain things, because I've had people email me and say, I'm confused. You're saying that these things don't work anymore? I'm like, no, I'm being sarcastic. Like, they changed the algorithm. They're not going to change the fucking algorithm. Okay? The market's going to go up or it's going to go down. And the inefficiencies between 2 points of interest, whether it be a premium or discount, there's going to be inefficiencies in between that. It's never a straight line. Never a straight line. And the broader the difference in chasm between the difference of the high end and the low end of that range you're working towards in terms of defining premium and discount, the more opportunities are going to be there. That means there's going to be more PD arrays. If it's a small range, only expect 1 or 2 at best. That right there is a nugget for staying with me this long. The longer you look for the price run to exist, when you're looking at an implied dealing range, that means where it's at right now and where you think it's going. It hasn't done that yet. You can grade that price swing and see where the lower quadrant, the equilibrium, the upper quadrant levels are. And you can anticipate, scientifically proven, go back and back test it, you'll see it, where my PD arrays are going to form. I know when my fair value gaps are going to form. I know when my order blocks are going to form. I know when my institutional order flow entry drills are going to form. I know when breakaway gaps. I've proven it. But every other discipline in trading can't say the same. And that's what I speak against. I speak against the infancy of all that other stuff. But anyone can start from any of that stuff. I started from that shit. It's all trash. But I started there. And I'm glad that I did that, because it gives me a greater affinity for my own life's work, because it's light years ahead of all that other stuff. But I've said this in the past. Anyone that has disciplined themselves and they have respect for the measure of risk on every transaction, and they're personally responsible. They don't blame anything outside themselves. They don't blame their system. They push the button or they don't push the button. They assume the risk or define the risk as it is per trade. Any system can be profitable. But I can give you literally my best model, my best, never going to share with nobody else. I could give that to somebody in this community that's not proven themselves disciplined or profitable in any capacity at all. It won't make them money. Now, to a new trader, or someone new or casual reader or someone that's really not done anything in trading, that's going to sound like a bunch of shit. Oh, then it's not the best because it should be easy. It doesn't work like that. That was the biggest lesson for me. I thought that, if I did everything Larry Williams said and put the indicators on the chart, like he said, it's going to be easy. And it was. It was fucking easy to blow that account. It was easy as shit to take the next losing trade. It was real easy for me. It was like no trouble at all. It was fucking quick like lightning. That was so hard. It was impossible. I was like, shit. This Williams percent R it's like it's zero. It can't move any more than that. And it's still going higher, it's still going lower, vice versa. And it was like, man, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, I thought this indicator stopped price. It was overbought. It just kept going for 19 fucking days. I was stuck in a trade. Limit up. I'm short. Woo! I'm talking about fun and scary. I was like, man, what in the hell? If I would have been right, this would have been amazing. But, anyway, I've tapped into old memories and tapped into old experiences, and because I have so many of them, I could very easily make this a lot longer. And honestly, I only wanted it to be about an hour long, but I've got 2.5 hours. It's long enough. It's about the length of a good feature length movie, right? If you stayed this long, congratulations. It's endurance training. But I want to close it with this. If you enable everyone that ever says or will say to you, naysaying that you can't do this or you won't be successful at it, if you energize that with any concern or thought, you give them that power. They don't have that power over you. And when I was younger, I thought everybody that I loved had that power over me. But it's granted to them by you. You have control over that. And when you change your perspective, instead of focusing on the anxiety and the aspects of potentially negative results, and you say, I'm welcome if that happens because it's going to be a learning experience. That is such a liberating perspective. You no longer look at the hard right edge of that chart and be fearful of the outcome because you're looking at it as, I'm in a laboratory experiment back in university, and I want to see the cause and effect and result of what is going to happen next. This is my theoretical, scientifically anchored perspective and what I expect to see, and we're going to see what we get. And you get a baseline of experience of the binary, yes, it worked, no, it didn't. And you're completely detached from the emotional outcome of it because you're not placing money on the end of that in the beginning. And by you understanding and recording your observations about yourself, the negative response, the euphoric, I'm really better than I really thought I was, you need to guard that. Both perspectives, the extremes. You don't think that everything's going to be a failure, and you don't think that you're better than everything else. Like you're not the cock of the walk, the best of the best, and you're not the worst of the worst. And you got to find where those parameters are, where it's balanced. And you can only do that by recording experiences, getting a baseline of this is what you thought I was going to do, and this is the outcome. How do you feel? Did you feel any emotional tug of war in that transaction? And if you do, you need to research that. What is the reason why you felt adversity? Why did you feel anxious? Even in a demo, even in a tape reading session, what are you wrestling with at the time? And what do I mean by that? What are you dealing with in your personal life? Are you having a problem in your job? Are you sick? Are you fighting a physical ailment? Are you without a job? Did you lose a job? Are you potentially going to lose your job? Are you having a marital spat? Are you going through a divorce? Is your children becoming problematic? All those things are going to manifest in your decision making. And it's unfair for you to not realize that those external forces that you may or may not have any control over, that you're wrestling with subconsciously, that is not in any way indicative of you coming to a conclusion that you're a bad trader because you're going through stress and you're not learning well enough to manage that stress. I'm thankful that God allowed me to go through severe anxiety. My world shrunk down to just my bedroom. And I didn't like when my wife came in. I didn't like when my children knocked on the door. And I didn't want my pets near me. Where can I go? My world shrank down to one room. And that I had to make a change because my world started shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and agoraphobia. I didn't want to be around other people. And if you're not careful, you'll do that. You'll go to furthest extremes that you couldn't even imagine you would allow yourself to get to. And it's going to be based on your performance, on something that you didn't properly go into and measure without any emotional stimuli attached to it. No monetary stigma attached to the outcome. Making money, that's the last thing you're worried about right now. You're not worried about the money. You need to wrestle with who you are. What makes you feel scared? What makes you feel empowered? When do you get cocky and arrogant? When do you get doubtful and concerned? Only by backtesting and recording those things are you ever going to really know who you are. Even if you're being successful right now, if you have not been doing that part, you need to start applying that because it'll take you to new levels and leave behind old devils. You're wrestling with things that you choose to hold on to. You don't realize it, but until you journal, you won't recognize them and you won't be able to identify them so that way you can comfortably say, you know what, I've been carrying you all this time, but I'm not doing it anymore. I choose not to hold on to this anymore. And you physically say it out loud and you say, I'm no longer going to worry about the concerns of my failed relationships in the past. I'm no longer going to be concerned about the other people's opinion about how soon I should have been successful, because many of you are on their schedule, not your own. And that causes anxiety. You're trying to perform to everybody else's expectations, and these people are fucking nobody. They're nobody. You've never seen them face to face, but you know them by their name on social media. Oh, I hope that person doesn't say something to me today. I go on X, and I'm hoping I see all of them come at me today. I love it. I love it. But you aren't equipped to be that way because you don't have your success. You're not rooted in this is a baseline that's grown in extrapolated terms of you're successful with it. You know what you're going to do. You know how you can read price action, and nobody's going to shake you. You have confidence that's unshakable. You're an overcomer. Nobody's taking you out of your rhythm and your grind. You're dialed in, and you ain't got time for anybody that's a naysayer. If you get away from me, you can't even get my attention. Goodbye. That's the goal, but it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen. That transition to that level of absolutely dialed in does not happen overnight, but it is achievable. If you knew me back then, what kind of a wreck I was versus right now, totally different. Absolutely night and day. You'd swear it's somebody else. You'd swear it was somebody else. It had to be somebody else, right? So I got so many things that just popped in my head I could go on, and they're really good too. But we'll have to defer that to another one. Hopefully, I've given you something to think about today. If anything, hopefully I entertained you, took your mind off your own problems if it's been rough for you or whatever. We spent a little bit of time today. Maybe I made you smile. Maybe I made you laugh. Maybe I pissed you off. Good. That means you care. That means you're engaged. And that's what I want from my audience. Because if you listen to me and you're engaged and you apply a little bit of what I'm teaching you to do, you'll see results. It's always been that way. I've always said, don't believe me because I said so. Don't believe my executions because you can do it too. And once you study it and you see it, you ain't going to listen to anybody else. They're never going to convince you otherwise. It's not a cult. It's not mind control. It's not gatekeeping. It's not me trying to control over you and just be a hateful person out there always trying to stir up trouble. I use that aspect to draw a crowd. Because if I can offend somebody, either directly or indirectly, and I can get their audience to question long enough to come here and listen to me and see, what is this guy going on about? Oh, shit. That's how it works. I don't ever have it advertised. I don't ever have to do any kind of monetized ads on Facebook, YouTube, none of that bullshit. They know me because of word of mouth. I'm a good talker. I'm a good shit talker, and I can walk the walk. And I let everybody have a piece of the pie. I give them just enough to troll me and think they got an opinion about it, and I have enough where the people that really support me would go to war for me. And I'm aiming for both camps to move to the middle and say, you know what? I don't really care about the guy. I'm indifferent to the guy, but his shit really works, and I'm doing well now. That is the outcome. I'm not here for friends and family that like, hey, we're gonna hang out together. I'm here to change your life. That's all I'm here for. That's all I'm here for. And all it takes is your effort and consistently applying it. And if you do that, I am guaranteeing you, you will see changes. It won't happen overnight. You won't be perfect, but you'll gradually move to a level where you'll get more confidence. You'll respect risk the entire time, But percentage-wise, the percentage risk will be the same as you gain more equity and you make more money. But you're never risking any more than that one fixed percent. It needs to be low, really, really low. And when I say start with risking 1/4%, first question comes out of minds of people that listen to me for the first time. Yeah, but I can't make big money like that. Okay, you failed at math. You failed at math. Because if you risk 25% of 1%, 1/4% of whatever your equity is, and you're aiming for 5 to 1, okay? And you can find that set up over time, a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen times over the course of a week if you're in the lower time frames. That stuff compounds quick, real quick. But you can't trade that way right away. It takes time. Different stages and new levels and plateau. You hang around at a level of understanding, and then you gain more understanding, and you gain more understanding, and it takes time. I am able to trade today in a manner that I could not trade when I was 22. When I was 24, I couldn't trade as well as I can trade right now. I had Enigma. I had it in my hands, and I still would doubt. I would wait. I would be like, I need more confirmation. I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid to do that. And I would put on too many contracts. And the fact that I had that much risk on would scare me out of the trade. I would close the trade. So am I following the system? Absolutely not. But what am I finding? I'm finding where my flaws are. That's what makes me so authoritative. Like I've lived all this stuff. No one's going to teach me anything. I'm unteachable when it comes to trading because I have all of my shit sorted. And because I don't want to hear anybody else's bullshit, I don't have anything broken, so I don't need anybody else's opinion to help me fix anything. If you call that arrogance, if you call that narcissistic, I don't give a shit what you call it. I call it winning. That's me being comfortable in my own skin. I don't need any more outside input. And I've already given you enough in ICT content. All you have to do is dial in and what is it what you want to do? And bloom where you're planted. Don't try to do everything that I've ever taught. Don't try to apply every fucking tool I've ever introduced. But there's a plethora of things that you can, literally, if you want to sample from my whole compendium, you can come up with a model that's uniquely yours. And I've never traded it. Isn't that fascinating? I have so many PD arrays, so many ways to skin the cat, get into a trade. You could literally say, this is my model. And I've had this with 2 people now. This is how I'm applying this information you get. And I'm like, wow. That's it. I've never looked at it that way. And that to me is fascinating. It's fun because I get to see how you brought your own personality to my life's work. And I'm not trying to stunt anybody from doing that. I'm encouraging you all to do that. You're not teaching me anything, but you're showing me that it's so diverse. There's so many ways, and you're not limited by my concepts where everything else is limited. Everything else is limited. You have to wait for this to do a crossover or flash this or flash that. Bullshit. All you gotta do is wait by the time. If you got a watch, okay, you got it set to New York time, you know what you're looking for. With me, we set our time-based trades by our clock. And as long as you're at the right time, you got the right fucking trade. That's it. We're done.